Okay, so what I want to say is that those invisible walls are really annoying. So yeah, I guess. But you can also just place it here, you don't need to place it right there. Have this thing here, so it's easier potentially. But this is just to get those, and I don't need to get those usually often. So it's quite fine. Meanwhile, this thing is ridiculous. I'm not quite even sure how to get there. In a reasonably easy way. Can I even... No. Does it look like it? Which is yes, okay. Useless. I mean, it's cool to be on top of this roof, but it's completely useless.
Show yourselves!
Hmm. Really? That's kind of annoying.
Strange.
How did I suddenly even get there? I don't remember getting there.
We'll win this fight easily. I wish you the best of fortune. Hey.
Being blocked? But like, maybe... It's somewhat possible.
Hi.
Who's that? No. Крым. Я ебал. Нет. Через месяц. Весна. Мам.
Нет,
Крым.
ну там-то тепло уже. Так что, ну, ты у папки спроси.
Я не знаю, меня больше беспокоит наличие беспилотников и ракет, летающих над головой. Okay. Yeah. Seems like that's the same person. How curious it is that well is can go through here. Ah, no. I can just... Hmm. Neat. Hmm.
B,
Okay, let's see.
K, and... Oh.
So I need to level her up. And by level her up, I mean this. I have everything right now. So let's just...
Hi, Endman. Oh, the weather is so lovely
Everyone,
today.
we've got a new butt.
Спецслужб. И корпус стражи исламской революции — это не какие-то там несчастные кубинцы-наемники из охраны Мадуро. Это суперспецслужба с властью, полномочиями, масштабами и вооружениями, как у сталинского МГБ. Иран хорошо вооружен и почти сделал свою ядерную бомбу. Это не та страна, где можно провести просто полицейскую спецоперацию. Это не безобидная страна. К ней стоит относиться всерьез. Убийство руководства в такой стране всегда казалось действием не то что за гранью правил, но за гранью фантастики.
Не-не-не, ну оно за гранью на самом деле разума предполагалось. То есть оно просто деструктивно считалось американским руководством. Потому что просто последствия слишком непредсказуемы, дестабилизация региона, чего американцы боятся. Но, к счастью, как бы у Америки есть президент, который, на мой взгляд, обладает специфическими когнитивными способностями, и из-за этого он считает, что, ну вот, он видел, например, протесты в Иране, ему принесли в папочке, ну ладно, он не в папочке, он сам в Твиттере смотрит, в Truth Social, о, протесты в Иране, о, выносят флаг монархический, так мы сейчас им поможем, а как мы им поможем? А мы разбомбим там все и убьем их аятоллу. И тогда, наверное, они смогут победить. Логично? Логично. А если они смогут победить, то действительно Америке станет лучше. Конечно, станет лучше. Действительно, если протест бы победил, и в Иране установился бы проамериканский режим, это был бы невероятный успех для Америки. Чистая правда. Ну и все, он увидел, о, вот она моя победа. Вот она, моя великая внешнеполитическая победа. И пошел исполнять. Пока предыдущие президенты мямлили, такие думали чего-то там, просили просчитать последствия, думали о возможных ответных действиях Ирана в ответ на убийство верховного лидера, еще о чем-то размышляли. Этот взял просто и разрешил Израилю совершить такую атаку.
Всегда казалось, что с такого рода лидерами можно только...
Второй драфт был, ну да. Второй сценарий был. Чего тут? Так, если, по-моему, вид сверху дальше будет. Короче, вы поняли. Это 1 марта, если что. В прямом эфире давали. Вот. Такие пироги.
договариваться, угрожать, шантажировать. Если уж совсем ничего не выходит, а они продолжают представлять угрозу, с ними можно воевать. Но сам лидер неприкосновенен, по крайней мере до тех пор, пока войну не проиграет полностью, пока не окажется в руках противника. И даже тогда такого лидера, как в случае с Саддамом Хусейном, например, скорее дадут судить его же бывшим подданным. Они его повесят, но не американцы. Короче говоря, было общее правило, которое соблюдалось плюс-минус всегда и всеми. Нужно сначала перестать быть главой государства, а потом уже можно стать легитимной мишенью для расправ. И главный вопрос здесь, который кажется очень наивным и даже детским. А, собственно говоря, а почему? Почему один человек или небольшая группа людей, влекомые своим персональным сумасшествием, могут годами или десятилетиями даже портить жизнь миллионам или десяткам миллионов других людей, еще и представляя угрозу для соседей? Почему идея сковырнуть такого лидера, который убивает своих людей, убивает соседей, должна быть обязательно связана со многими тысячами жертв большой войны? Зачем идти к президентскому дворцу по окопам, если можно прямо на него бомбу скинуть? Или прислать беспилотник? Или спецназ? Почему вообще
Ну, если такой выбор стоит, я даже согласен. То есть мне тоже интересна вот эта оптика, где нас в похищении Мадура больше смущает похищение Мадура, а не, например, предыдущие удары по лодкам, предположительно связанные с наркокартелями. Вот несколько недель США били по этим лодкам, которые, ну, действительно, опять же, предположительно возили наркотики. Давайте для простоты моральной конструкции предположим, что реально перевозили. Реально перевозили. На лодках наркотики перевозили, наркотрафикеров убивали. Этих самых наркоконтрабандистов. Их просто убивали авиаударами, ракетными ударами. Их убивали. И кадры показывали. Всем плевать. Гибли десятки людей. Да, это плохие люди, но это люди. Предположим, да, если они действительно наркотрафикеры. Их убивали. Всем плевать. Крадут Мадура? Крадут, даже не убивают. Все, ой, что творят американцы. Он же лидер независимого государства. Не знаю, мне кажется, убить какого-то лодочника — это гораздо хуже, чем украсть лидера государства. Почему мы жизнь лодочника-наркотрафикера оцениваем ниже, чем свободу Мадура? Так откуда у нас это взялось в моральной системе ценностей? Почему? Потому что он объявил себя главой государства? Да и пофиг. И что? От этого его свобода стала сильно ценнее? Мне кажется, нет.
существует дихотомия. Либо мы договариваемся с упырем, либо воюем с ним. Мы ж не сносим танками город, если там завелась банда. Мы ликвидируем банду, начиная с главарей. Так что ж мешает точно так же поступать с сумасшедшими режимами и их лидерами? Они что, не люди из плоти и крови? Сейчас вдруг оказалось, что режим, с которым не могли совладать почти полвека, можно полностью обезглавить за полминуты. И ничего страшного не произойдет. Земля не налетит на небесную ось. Это открытие меняет многое. Мы даже
По твоему мнению, бомж равно президент? Да. Ну, в смысле, нет, конечно. Конечно, нет. Это разные люди. Но по моему мнению, Ваня не равно Петя. Я не равен Максим Кат. А вы не равны Чатерсу, который пишет над вами и под вами. Конечно, вы каждый человек, личность. Но, по моему мнению, жизнь бомжа выше, чем свобода президента. Да. А что плохого в этом?
пока не представляем, в каких масштабах. Потому что привлекательность этого вывода невозможно переоценить. Если кровавый диктатор не главный босс в игре, к которому можно продраться только через сотни тысяч трупов, если это просто живой человек, который легко может перестать быть живым, так в чем тогда вообще проблема? Фанатичная верхушка Ирана была готова пожертвовать всем на свете, жить в нищете и под санкциями, лишь бы угрожать Израилю и Штатам. Слишком много проблем в мире происходит не из-за каких-то рациональных причин, объясняемых реальным общением. Честным запросом, а просто потому, что кто-то хочет творить кровавые глупости. А теперь вот стало ясно, что желающих творить такие глупости можно просто ликвидировать. Уже понятно, что мы въехали в новую эпоху. В эпоху, где человечество осознало, что любые зафиксированные правила, ограничения, договоренности не способны никого остановить.
Кто захочет быть президентом, если его будут ценить меньше бомжа? Да, я не знаю, я не думаю, что Мадуро прям очень хороший человек, что ваш аргумент такой, раз такой хороший человек, как Мадуро, попал во власть, то давайте ценить его свободу выше жизни наркотрафикеров. Еще раз, там десятки человек гибли. Десятки. Пофиг. Одного украли.
Well, that
Какой
was
кошмар.
something.
Что будет, если похитить главу государства и посадить его в свою тюрьму? Что будет, если захерачить ракетами всю правящую верхушку целого политического режима?
Конечно, когда Кац говорит, что мы не сносим город танками, если там завелась банда, на фоне событий в секторе Газа звучит несколько иронично.
Или вторгнуться войсками туда, куда тебе в голову придет? А ничего не будет. Каскад умолчаний, на которых строился мир, то нельзя, это неправильно, вот так незаконно, разрушен. Разрушать его начал не Трамп, а Путин. Но Россия не задает мировую норму, а США задают. Теперь норма эта звучит так. Можно все, что в твоих силах. Это важно было проговорить, прежде чем перейти к обсуждению непосредственно иранского режима. Да, его ни секунды не жаль. Уж кто заслуживает стать безымянными останками на дне воронки от взрыва, так это Аятолла и его присные.
Что это еще раз переслушать, извините.
Или вторгнуть. Что будет, если знала, что любые зафиксированные правила, ограничения, договоренности не способны никого остановить? Что будет, если похитить главу государства и посадить его в свою тюрьму? Что будет, если захерачить ракетами всю правящую верхушку целого политического режима? Или вторгнуться войсками туда, куда тебе в голову придет? А ничего не будет. Каскад умолчаний, на которых строился мир, то нельзя, это неправильно, вот так незаконно, разрушен. Разрушать его начал не Трамп, а Путин. Но Россия не задает мировую норму, а США задают. Теперь норма эта звучит так. Можно все, что в твоих силах.
Nice words.
Это важно было
Give yourself
проговорить,
some breath.
Ну, я не уверен, что это раньше так не было. Ну ладно.
прежде чем перейти к обсуждению непосредственно иранского режима. Да, его ни секунды не жаль. Уж кто заслуживает стать безымянными останками на дне воронки от взрыва, так это Аятолла и его присные. Режим этот держит в заложниках более 90 миллионов человек. Они буквально только-только убили десятки тысяч протестующих. С удовольствием.
Ну, все-таки подтвержденные тысячи, десятки тысяч не подтверждены. Ну вот. Просто как бы даже иранские правозащитные проекты говорят пока о тысячах, там 6500 они считают. Вот, ну, возможно, она будет за 10 тысяч. Убили много протестующих, так скажем.
Проводят публичные казни, финансируют и снабжают всех на свете людоедов, лишь бы те убивали евреев.
Ой.
Они, наконец, оказали неоценимую помощь Путину в терроре Украины. Без шахедов эта война выглядела бы вообще иначе. Сотни мирных людей были бы живы, миллионы не замерзали бы в своих домах. Без дронов камикадзе, только с дорогими ракетами, Путин не смог бы в таких масштабах уничтожать энергетическую инфраструктуру Украины. Закатать правящую верхушку в асфальт, построить сверху парковку и позволить гражданам Ирана там парковаться и нормально жить, богатеть и развиваться — это то, что морально абсолютно...
Wow! Perfect execution!
We make a good team.
Well, that was something. See? I knew this would come in handy. Attention, beautiful.
Feeling better.
I must master this power.
Абсолютно оправданно. Но те правила и умолчания, на которых мир стоял до начала 20-х, все-таки не от скуки придумали.
Casual.
Их создали люди, которым довелось увидеть горящие руины, покрывающие чуть ли не полмира. И они решили, что с правом сильного человечество просто истребит себя как вид.
Так они на... Что? Этот мир построен на праве сильного. У нас мир построен на триумфе победителя Второй мировой войны. Чего, с Германией не право сильного практиковалось? Конечно, право сильного практиковалось. Германию по каким-то особенным конвенциям бомбардировками уничтожали? Да нет. Нацистскую верхушку даже судили во многом благодаря праву сильного. Почему-то вот, например, бомбардировщики, которые бомбили Дрезден, которые бомбили Кёльн, которые бомбили другие немецкие города, бомбардировщики, которые в секунду уничтожили 2 японских города
Not bad.
атомными бомбардировками.
We're doing good,
Все
Tim.
эти пилоты этих бомбардировщиков, люди, отдавшие им приказ, люди, совершившие очевидное военное преступление, они ответственности не понесли. Но аналогичные нацистские преступники, которые совершали ужасные военные преступления, понесли ответственность. Что это такое? Это было во многом проявление права сильного. Вот так вот оно работает. И работало всегда. И сама конфигурация мира после Второй мировой войны — это фиксация права сильного. Вот вы задумывались, почему именно такой набор стран входит в Совбез ООН и имеет там право вето? Потому что именно эти страны победили нацистскую Германию. Это победители. Так вот оно работает.
Что нам нужны самоограничения. Сейчас эти ограничения забыты. Всем предложено попробовать свои силы. Из этого вытекает несколько следствий, довольно неоднозначных. Потому что основанный на правилах мир имел свои издержки. Мир, в котором сильные не применяли силу, сделал нашу планету безопасной не только для хороших ребят. В этой комфортной и питательной среде размножились не только полезные лактобактерии. Кишечная палочка и салмонелла тоже чувствовали себя превосходно. Поговорим об этом после небольшой рекламы дальше.
Сколько? Минуты 2 у него будет реклама длиться.
Услуг. Например, 25% латуров.
О, 25%, даже не 26%. Понятно. Не думает о своих подписчиках, Кац.
Careful! Don't get jinxed!
Take cover now.
Attention, please!
Не думает.
Продолжим.
А вот мы выбили бы для вас 26. Я не знаю, что это за рекламодатель,
Beautifully
но
done.
приходите
I'm
ко мне,
amazed.
рекламодатель. Только вы будете зарабатывать на 1% меньше на моих подписчиках. Зато... Ну, вы поняли.
Всю историю человечества очень мощным двигателем и для прогресса, и для политических реформ являлось давление естественного отбора. Уровень организации армии и производства вооружений напрямую зависел от уровня развития государства и общества. Научно-технический прогресс требует большого количества образованных людей. Нужна система образования. А образованные люди начнут требовать прав и политического представительства. Для массового
да.
производства вооружений нужны капиталистические отношения. Индивидуальный кузнец не наделает тебе нарезных винтовок, а значит неизбежно разрушается традиционное общество, размываются границы сословий.
Found nowhere.
Пулемет начинается не с добычи руды, а с парламента.
Power.
Он может...
That
Это я не очень понял, как вы от одного к другому перешли, если честно. То есть я такой, ну типа, я вот прослеживал эти этапы, да, логично, пулемет начинается с парламента. Как это мне подсунули? Это как сюда проникло? То есть все было логично, да, действительно, все так. Действительно, это квалифицированные рабочие, у них больше запрос на демократию, они, общество меняется, происходит переход от традиционного общества к обществу модерна, да, условно. Окей. В смысле, пулемет начинается с парламента, это почему? Это откуда? Нацистская Германия не делала пулеметы, все, она воевала чем? В Иране ни одного пулемета не сделали после революции. Хотя у них, ладно, у них есть парламент. Подловил. Действительно, в Иране был парламент. Вот я и Александр Штефанов попался, как дешевка.
Возникнуть только на достаточно высоком уровне развития науки, техники и промышленности.
Второе, да, ну как с парламентом, это что-то это... Ладно, проскочила и проскочила. Красивая метафора.
И этот уровень достичь невозможно, удерживая народ в скотском, невежественном, отсталом состоянии во имя сохранения абсолютной власти. Если ты отсталый, если у тебя до сих пор феодальная армия, естественное хозяйствование, крепостное право, если ты избегаешь реформ любой ценой, понимая, что с ними потеряешь власть, тогда лишь вопрос времени, когда за тобой кто-нибудь придет. И феодальное твое ополчение ничего не сможет противопоставить дисциплинированной регулярной армии, вооруженной нарезными винтовками. Нет сомнений,
Это про Крымской войне. Я так и подумал, что подводит к Крымской войне.
что великие
Ну, к слову, у российской армии все-таки были нарезные винтовки во время Крымской войны. Ну да, она безнадежно технически отставала, это правда.
реформы Александра II родились из катастрофического поражения в Крымской войне.
Да.
Оказалось, что прежняя система управления, хозяйствования, политического и экономического устройства привела к тому, что страна отстала на десятки лет. Русский деревянный флот мог лишь своими затопленными корпусами закрыть вход в бухту для стальных британских пароходов. Дарвинизм в чистом виде. Не отращиваешь себе прогресс, политический и технологический, становишься добычей тех, кто эту эволюционную адаптацию приобрел. Мир наш без завоевания.
Тоже справедливости ради, флот союзников Англии и Франции в основном был
We
парусным.
make a good team.
Beautifully done.
Большое заблуждение, что они там приплыли все на своих пароходах стальных, пока Россия на парусных кораблях была. Конечно, опять же, общий тезис верен, это я сейчас уточняю скорее, не спорю. Вот, действительно, там российский флот безнадежно отставал от британского и французского. Российская армия безнадежно отставала от британской и французской, все правда. Но парусный флот был в ходу, и у британцев с французами они на них перебрасывали свои войска в основном.
войн. Такое давление отбора полностью сломало.
Еще, кстати, интересный факт, что, собственно, британцы и французы больше потерь понесли в этой войне из-за санитарной ситуации. Французы пока собирались они, по-моему, в Авиньоне, у них армия собиралась изначально. У них случилась эпидемия холеры. И они прям с эпидемией холеры доплыли до берегов современной Болгарии. Там у них начали массово умирать солдаты. Вот. Потом они перекинули в Крым их, они там начали массово умирать. И, по-моему, на каждого погибшего в бою у французов приходится типа 4 погибших от эпидемий. Вот. Но, да, это, опять же, дополнение просто отход в сторону. Про такую развитость французской армии.
Мал. В этом мире можно быть Кубой. Ни в какой прежний момент человеческой истории кубинский режим династии Кастро не смог бы...
Чего? А что это случилось?
Ни в какой прежний момент человеческой истории кубинский режим династии Кастро не смог бы сохранить суверенитет. Ровно в тот день, когда протекторат Советского Союза исчез вместе с самим Союзом, пришли бы американцы и забрали в себе этот красивый остров. Абсолютное большинство самых жутких режимов на планете объединяет простое обстоятельство. Защитить себя они не могут. В любую другую эпоху человечества они бы стали чьими-нибудь колониями. Никто бы не стал терпеть, что Бердымухамедов, такой красивый, сидит себе на огромном баллоне газа в Туркменистане. Раньше страну бы у него забрали немедленно, позволив в самом лучшем случае быть чьим-то губернатором.
Да, это хорошая мысль, да, почему мы позволяем существовать этим государствам, возникшим по недоразумению. Блин, я сейчас наговорю, меня в половину стран больше не пустят. Все, существуйте. Все существуйте.
То же касается Ирана, Северной Кореи, любых режимов, которые в ситуации беспрецедентного мирового благополучия не просто выжили, но стали проблемой для всех.
Не, ну Иран-то довольно крупное государство по мировым меркам и довольно самостоятельное. Вот, хотя раньше действительно было там поделено между Россией и Великобританией. Но к более мелким, вот особенно с Туркменистаном, действительно пример интересный. Ну а чё? Просто вторгнуться, аннексировать и качать газ самим. Что мешает? Ну и в этом плане действительно Кац прав, что у нас есть какой-то примат государственного суверенитета, что мы считаем, мы все носимся с этим государственным суверенитетом, мы все его очень уважаем, его ни в коем случае нельзя нарушать. Мне кажется, может зря. Может надо нарушать. Это все быстро закончится, государств будет меньше поводов для конфликтов.
Никто в прежней эпохе не стал бы торговаться и умолять династию Кимов не разрабатывать ядерное оружие. Давать им за это деньги, еду и топливо. Режим в Северной Корее закончился бы куда раньше, чем открыл бы для себя ядерную энергию. Беспрецедентное спокойствие в мире разорвало связь между эффективностью стран и выживанием. Можно удерживать власть в сколь угодно отсталой стране, и никто не придет на твою душу. А теперь же оказалось, что придет. Причем хорошая новость в том, что львиная доля мировой силы находится сейчас в руках самых развитых демократических стран. Да, на стороне мрачных режимов, таких как наш, есть уникальная возможность убивать своих граждан в почти неограниченном количестве. Но это поможет только в том случае, если с таким режимом кто-то будет воевать классическую войну, в которой способность класть сколько угодно народу, как мы знаем, это аргумент уж точно не менее, а скорее даже более серьезный, чем наличие высокоточного оружия, спутников, беспилотников, разведки и прочих средств ведения современной войны. Если же богатый, сильный и технологичный решит не заниматься фронтовой войной, а просто убьет прицельно верховных лидеров, устранит опухоль без вреда для организма, то это на самом деле возвращает тот самый естественный отбор, что был прежде. Если ты создал такой чудесный режим, что израильская разведка всегда стоит у тебя за спиной, если все понимают, что режим твой народу настолько осточертел, что они будут только счастливы и вздохнуть с облегчением, когда иностранная бомба прилетит по твоему дворцу, если это так, то у тебя большие проблемы. В мире, где США с Израилем сами себе разрешили похищать и убивать диктаторов, задолбавших свой народ, за которых абсолютно точно никто не вступится и которые правят чистым насилием, в таком мире становится очень опасно быть подобным диктатором. Да, армию, скорее всего, присылать никто не будет, по причинам, которые мы 100 раз называли. В современной войне нет ни побед, ни победителей. Но это и не нужно. Провальный режим на той провальный, что его спецслужбы могут лишь убивать безоружных протестующих. Его народная поддержка держится на страхе. Когда же кто-то приходит за вождем, защищать его оказывается некому, и все граждане как минимум не против его устранения. Никто, конечно, не будет присоединять Иран к США или Израилю. В этом смысле общественный прогресс никуда не откатился. Но оказалось, что захват для гибели провального режима и не нужен. Потому что режим завязан на крошечную верхушку, на одного или нескольких вождей, с которыми, имея технологическое преимущество, довольно легко разобраться. Мы не возвращаемся в мир, где могут приплыть колонизаторы, если ты слишком слабый и неразвитый. Но мы входим в новый мир. И если твой режим всем надоел, проблема решается не войной, а бомбой. Или дроном, или вертолетом. Без разницы чем. Главное, что спецслужбы твои все прощелкают, а граждане скажут атакующим спасибо. До завтра.
Ну вот такое мнение высказывает у нас Максим Кац. Ну, давайте переходить все-таки к более шизовым.
A very professional move.
It's all about our teamwork.
Careful! Don't get...
Yo, what the fuck?
Crush you! A flawless win teaches little. Hold on. What if someone's not...
So it's come to my attention recently as hypergriff.
Здравствуйте, Руслан. Мы на этой неделе очень много говорили про события на Ближнем Востоке, и события на Украинском фронте, они немного ушли из нашего внимания. Хочу, чтобы мы восполнили с вами пробел. Расскажите, что происходило за последние дни на фронте.
Ну, поскольку началась весна, это довольно-таки заметно сильно влияет на происходящее прямо сейчас на линии фронта, потому что, ну, во-первых, если вспомните начало недели, многие исследовательские проекты, они показывали свою статистику по части темпов продвижения России в феврале. И все пришли к выводу, что темп как минимум вдвое упал, многие писали, что он вообще ушел там в отрицательные цифры, например, критическая группа об этом тоже писала, но рост торможение было сильное. И вот поскольку сейчас весна началась распутиться, то это влияет даже в той ситуации, когда вроде бы механизированных колонн уже не используется в атаках. Потому что раньше использовались в том числе еще и мотоциклы. А сейчас мотоциклы вылезают в грязи и сложно перемещаться. Да, в принципе, если чем больше будет почва раскисать, тем пешком в этом плане тоже сложнее ходить. Поэтому, в принципе, бои есть, я могу сейчас, наверное, пробегусь по карте, покажу отдельное направление, но в целом они, все эти изменения довольно-таки незначительные за неделю. И теперь давайте уже конкретно пройдемся по линии фронта. Итак, по славянско-краматорскому направлению. Это, пожалуй, сейчас самая важная участок фронта, как мне кажется. Потому что здесь российские войска, они пытаются взять полуокружение украинские войска, находящиеся вот к западу от Северска, вот в этом круге, скажем так. И они наступают одновременно в районе вот Закотного, Кривых Луг, и со стороны Никифоровки. То есть так вот пытается их как бы объять. И одновременно с этим вот есть продвижение российских войск, собственно, непосредственно вот в сам этот, грубо говоря, карман. Вот, но пока довольно-таки небольшие. По части Константиновки. Сейчас ситуация особо не поменялась, хотя, например, украинский обозреватель Константин Мушавец пишет, что российские войска, они продвинулись в районе Предтечина и Александра Шультина, то есть к юго-востоку от самой Константиновки, тоже немного продвинулись.
I shall forge a path through fire and blood in your name, and shall not falter in the face. Why are you looking so tense? I will continue fighting in my own way. Wow, I've never seen this model before. Let me take another look at the user's guide. Wow, I've never seen this model before. Let me take another look at the user's guide.
Вот есть бои по Покровскому направлению, в частности, поселок Гришино, находящийся к северо-западу от Покровска. Он уже практически полностью захвачен, там, грубо говоря, на большей его части она полностью захвачена. Большая часть его захвачена. И бои идут также еще в районе Белецкого, где российские войска пытаются атаковать со стороны Родинска. Что касается успеха украинских сил, которые были в начале этого года, это январь, февраль, начало февраля. Это, по сути, юг оккупированной территории, там, где Днепропетровская, Запорожская области. Как мы помним, в конце прошлого года у российской армии здесь был успех, они со стороны Гуляйполя двигались, продвигались довольно-таки быстро, и потом, уже в начале февраля, украинская армия начала свою наступательную операцию. Она, в принципе, уже замедлилась там на вторую неделю, но все равно все еще продолжается. И мы постепенно видим, как сейчас украинские войска, они уже ведут бои, как минимум точно за Новогригоровку, например. Они, судя по всему, смогли освободить Калиновское, и идут бои за Березовое тоже, смогли освободить Терновое, и все ближе приближаются к трассе, которая идет от Гуляйполя через Успеновку и дальше на Великую Новоселку. Как я уже вроде бы рассказывал в прошлый раз, эта трасса важна тем, что по ней проходит российская логистика, которая позволяет российской армии там на юге, в Запорожской области, дальше продвигаться на запад. Поэтому, поставив под угрозу эту логистику, вы тем самым ломаете планы группировки войск «Восток» российской, которая пытается идти дальше на Орехов. Вот он сам, собственно, Орехов. Потому что здесь украинская армия бьет с северного фланга этой российской группировки войск. Ну и, наверное, стоит отметить по западу Запорожской области. Тут более-менее тихо. Мы помним, что за последнюю неделю и в конце прошлой недели российская армия заявляла поселок Веселянка, что якобы он захвачен, хотя туда кадров не показала. И в целом здесь продвижение замедлилось. То есть если раньше мы много говорили о том, что выходит вдоль берега реки Конка, продвигается постепенно по направлению на Камышеваху, то где-то уже с середины февраля все довольно-таки резко упало по своим темпам. Но сейчас такие боевые действия, они идут довольно-таки вяло в каком-то смысле, потому что, как я сказал, распутится, и поэтому все это довольно-таки так замедлилось. Но я думаю, что все-таки, когда сейчас почва подсохнет, то есть я бы сказал, что, наверное, с середины марта, числа условно с 15-го, где-то так, скорее всего, пойдет резкое ускорение. Не скажу, что март станет каким-то особо рекордным, но темп явно будет выше, чем за февраль. А уже за апрель-май, наверное, уже будут такие прям серьезные цифры боевых действий. Потому что уже будет зеленка, и уже будет такая полная активизация боевых действий.
Руслан, я сразу в нескольких телеграм-каналах видел о том, что Россия готовит очередное наступление, причем уже этой весной. Вы видите признаки подготовки этого наступления?
Проблема в том, что когда эти наступления выражаются не в форме крупномасштабной наступательной операции с применением большого количества бронетехники, а может быть даже авиации, когда это не так, то это сложно заметить какую-то подготовку. Потому что то, что происходит, то, что мы еще с прошлого года называем наступательными операциями, это, по сути, такой постоянно неиссякающий текущий рычаек пехоты, который просто как вода камень точит, но также и пехота стачивает постепенно линию фронта. Постепенно инфильтрируясь, продвигаясь чуть дальше и дальше. И соответственно, когда появляется зеленка, то есть это, грубо говоря, конец марта, начало апреля, этот ручеек будет идти сильнее, потому что можно будет укрываться лучше от беспилотников, в лесополосе, между деревьями, будет сложнее заметить. Поэтому пехота будет активнее идти в бои, почва подсохнет, будет легче перемещаться, мотоциклы опять поедут. Поэтому в таком формате наступление начнется, да. Условно, где-то конец марта, начало апреля, примерно так. В прошлом году оно примерно так и началось. То есть тоже где-то в конце марта, начале апреля. И продлится, опять-таки, скорее всего, как и в прошлом году, до конца года. Хотя здесь есть некоторые дискуссии среди военных аналитиков. А некоторые наши западные коллеги, за которыми мы следим, есть такие исследователи, как Якуб Яновский, Джомпи, которые активно работают над пополнением списков Орикс, это которые по потерям бронетехники обеих сторон. Они предполагают, что, возможно, в этом году, например, к концу весны, началу лета, российская армия снова вернется к тактике механизированных атак. То есть появятся прям колонны бронетехники, и они будут идти в атаке. Пока что такой подготовки мы этого не видим, но в теории мы этого не можем исключать. Почему такое может произойти, по их мнению? Потому что сейчас потери армии, российской армии по части людей, они прям слишком большие, и набор их просто не покрывает. И поэтому нужно с этим что-то делать. Раз не получается наборы еще больше поднять, сколько больше не плати, темп не растет, то нужно что-то придумать другое. Я предлагал, как вы помните, там, в прошлой сутки другие варианты, там, типа, уйти сейчас с линии фронта, заморозить войну, может быть, подготовить там какую-то там вторую волну мобилизации, может быть, еще как-то. Пока что, судя по всему, думают о другом варианте. А именно, снова пересесть на бронетехнику. Да, понятно, что все равно как бы дроны никуда не делись, и они, скорее всего, будут быстро выявлять все эти колонны техники, танки, БМП и прочего, и будут по ним бить. Но все равно, даже в такой ситуации потери солдат меньше, чем когда они идут просто пехотой, прямо в атаку. Вот когда они прям пехотой идут, как в прошлом году, как пока что сейчас идут, потери прям зашкаливающие. И так долго продолжаться, грубо говоря, не может. Нужно что-то с этим делать. Поэтому есть предположение, есть такое вот мнение, которое многие поддерживают военные аналитики, что, наверное, к лету этого года мы увидим все-таки механизированные атаки тоже. Но пока что мы подготовку к этому не видели.
Немного обращусь к местным литовским новостям. Тут литовская разведка представила ежегодный доклад об оценке угроз безопасности. В нем говорится, что Россия накапливает войска на границах НАТО. Я тут небольшой фрагмент процитирую. В этом документе говорится, что при определенных условиях Россия может подготовиться к широкомасштабному военному конфликту с НАТО примерно через 6 лет. В частности, если будут сняты действующие санкции. Россия, вероятно, создаст не только армию на 30-50% больше, чем было до начала войны в Украине, но и относительно современную. Стратегические резервы вооружений и боеприпасов будут полностью восстановлены. Там уже указывались некоторые точки, в которых, по мнению литовской разведки, собственно, идет накопление сил. Скажите, речь прежде всего про Калининградскую область?
Я предполагаю, что да, потому что в Калининградской области мы замечали усиление в плане там появления баз, перемещения там всяких Искандеров, такой вот различной техники. То есть мы какие-то там, не знаю, там палаточных лагерей и скопления солдат мы там не замечали, но в целом как бы внимание военных чиновников к этому региону, к этому анклаву российскому, оно сейчас повышенное, да. И вспомните, еще там летом прошлого года, сколько мы обсуждали вопрос того, что вот стоят глушилки российские в Калининградской области, и они вот мешают там частной, ну не частной, точнее, гражданской авиации, там рейсовым этим полетам обычных там авиалиний, которые летают по Европе, потому что они глушат GPS. И вот в этом плане военная активность российская в Калининградской области, да, безусловно, она растет и, скорее всего, будет дальше расти. И при этом, с одной стороны, мы слышим вот такую обеспокоенность со стороны стран Европы, что типа вот Россия наращивает силы, играет мускулами, увеличивает свое военное присутствие. С другой стороны, если послушать Кремль, то они, по сути, обрадуют ровно тем же самым, что типа наоборот, это вот Европа играет мускулами, они наращивают силу, Финляндия вступает в НАТО, Швеция вступает в НАТО, нам надо как-то реагировать. И поэтому мы вот усиливаем свой военный компонент, в том числе в Калининградской области, и в том числе еще и в Ленинградской области. То есть, чтобы тоже как такой вот силы на случай военного вторжения НАТО в Россию.
Но я хочу в целом спросить у вас, уточнить про этот документ, ведь вроде ничего нового в этом документе не написано. Это же не первый прогноз о том, что Россия может начать большую войну в Европе там, через 5, через 6, через 10 лет, через 8 лет. Мы разные прогнозы считали. Для вас что-то новое было в этом документе?
Вот меня несколько удивила эта цифра, типа 6 лет. То есть, ну, как видите, она не круглая, прям конкретно прям 6. Почему именно 6? Не знаю. То есть, когда меня спрашивают, типа, как вы думаете, если вот война там заморозится, сколько нужно лет России, чтобы там ее армия стала как бы угрожающей, чтобы она там могла грозить там каким-то европейским странам? Я говорил, типа, там, ну, минимум 5 лет, скорее всего, больше. То есть, назвал какую-то круглую цифру. А тут 6 конкретно. Как это рассчитали? Не знаю, на что они там опирались. По части санкций, ну, непонятно. Вроде бы пока что ничего не отменяют. Вроде бы пока что хоть и более-менее приличные отношения между Путиным и Трампом, в плане того, что они не то чтобы прям совсем друзья, но как будто бы и нет среди них между ними таких споров, как это происходит впервые между Зеленским и Трампом. Вот, кстати, Трамп ведь недавно опять же сказал, что типа вот у Зеленского нету карт на руках, а стало еще меньше, то есть, видимо, отрицательное количество. Вот. Поэтому непонятно, что там с санкциями. Скорее всего, документ пройдет для того, заново составлен для того, чтобы как бы обновить оценку. Ну, что типа с учетом изменяющихся данных, с учетом того, что как поменялась ситуация с поддержкой Америки Украины, с поставками боеприпасов, как выросло там производство или наоборот упало в России, сколько там производится шахедов, ракет. Вот, исходя из вот этих новых данных, как можно теперь оценивать, когда может появиться такая вот прям совсем реальная угроза от российской армии, если война будет заморожена. Я думаю, что, скорее всего, для этого делаются такие вот документы от разведки.
Давайте перейдем к событиям на Ближнем Востоке. Начну с такой темы, что вот Вашингтон попросил помощи Украины для того, чтобы каким-то образом противостоять тем дронам и ракетам, которые летят с Ирана по разным странам. Мы это уже много обсуждали. Расскажите чуть поподробнее, о чем речь, и есть ли, как вам кажется, у Украины ресурсы, чтобы поделиться вот этими технологиями, отдать как-то, не знаю.
Ну, смотрите, мы все прекрасно знаем, что российские герани, как называют в России, это те самые иранские шахеды. Да, они сейчас уже, российские копии сильно отличаются, то есть они сильно модифицированы, ушли там по своим разработке, там уже там, много чего привнесли в эти беспилотники. Но тем не менее, это по сути тот же самый беспилотник. И украинская армия за все эти годы она набрала гигантский опыт, такую базу знаний, как можно, во-первых, выявлять эти самые шахеды, когда они летят в воздушном пространстве, во-вторых, как их максимально дешево сбивать. А, кстати, вот выявление — это чуть ли не более важная задача, чем само сбитие. Вовремя и правильно выявить летящую цель и отличить ее там, не знаю, там, от птицы, от вертолета, от еще чего-нибудь. Вспомните эти статьи там, годовой, двухлетней давности о том, как в Украине создали такую разветвленную акустическую систему. То есть поставили, грубо говоря, что-то типа микрофонов в разных точках Украины, которые реагируют на звук шахеда, и тем самым они мониторят его. То есть выявляют, что типа, опа, шахед пролетел, и передают в общую базу данных по вот этой системе ПВО, тем самым получается более актуальная информация по воздушным угрозам. То есть вот эти системы новые, которые придумали в рамках борьбы с такими целями, они очень полезны были бы сейчас на Ближнем Востоке и Америке тоже, потому что, естественно, до войны России и Украины все-таки большинство развитых стран готовились к другим типам воздушных угроз. Что это будут баллистические ракеты, самолеты, крылатые какие-нибудь ракеты, авиабомбы, а не какие-то там супердешевые маленькие беспилотники, которые летят очень низко, которые очень маленькие при этом, но при этом очень зловредные. И поэтому технологии тогда, до российско-украинской войны, они развивались как раз в сторону противодействия там, быстрым, скоростным, очень мощным ракетам, а не в сторону противодействия маленьким, медленным, низколетящим беспилотникам. И вот в этом плане гораздо более актуальный опыт и практика, что особенно важно, есть, естественно, у Украины, ну, в принципе, и у России тоже. И в этом плане, да, знания даже, они более полезны, чем просто сама вот технология. То есть в этом плане Украина может подсказать, какие способы перехвата шахедов работают, какие, получается, неэффективными, как дешевле всего эти беспилотники сбивать. Ну а что касается, чем могут поделиться, то есть как минимум мы знаем, что вроде бы как производство украинское по этих зенитных дронов, то есть дронов-перехватчиков, оно вроде бы недозагружено. То есть могут производить сильно больше. Просто у Украины самой не хватает денег, чтобы это производство...
Добрый вечер. С вами, как всегда, в это время программа «Точка». Это программа, которая посвящена целиком и полностью технологиям и тому, как они влияют на нашу социальную и
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of Are You Getting Fucked If You Live in the City of Cleveland? I'm your host, Louis Rossman. Today I'm going to be going over flock cameras, and I'm going to be going over how they get installed even if you don't consent to them being installed. Recently, I went over how this went in the city of Denver. In Denver, you have to have a contract of over $500,000 approved by City Council. The City Council unanimously rejected these cameras, and in spite of that, they got installed anyway. People were very curious how that happened. Well, when the mayor decided to deal with the contract, because the City Council didn't give him what he wanted, he decided to negotiate the contract for $498,000. Sneaky, weaselly bitch shit. I want to go over what happened in the city of Cleveland, because one thing that many of you are asking is, how is it that these cameras get installed when my city council didn't consent to it, when I didn't consent to it, when I didn't even really know what's going on? And I want to show you just how some of this incestuous, disgusting shit works, because one of the biggest problems with these is that they get installed regardless of whether people are actually okay with it. Instead of wondering who is for this, rather what you should be asking is, if I'm not for it, and the people who vote the exact opposite of me are not for it, then why are they still here? It's about the people who have power over you, not about the people who are your neighbor that are actually the problem in these particular scenarios. So let's go over one of the funny situations that I found in the city of Cleveland. So in the city of Cleveland, there was a gentleman that left city council. It was September 11th of last year that he announced his resignation, and his last day on the city council was October 3rd. He decided to join Flock Safety to work there as a public affairs lead for the Eastern United States. There was no gap between him leaving city council and going to work for Flock. It was just like, I'm leaving city council to go work for Flock. About 24 days later, on October 27th, there was an ordinance introduced. It was an emergency sole source contract, an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety to enter into a contract with Flock Group. Imagine that. Now, this emergency ordinance that was put through, Section 36 of the City Code, says an emergency measure is an ordinance or resolution for the immediate preservation of the public peace, property, health, or safety. An ordinance for the immediate preservation of the public peace, property, health, or safety. So you need AI-powered surveillance cameras that watch people all the time. It's an emergency if you're not able to violate their Fourth Amendment rights. And it does require competitive bidding for contracts over $50,000. There is an exception for cooperative purchasing agreements. Professional services can skip sealed bidding, but they should still go through an RFP. This administration issued neither, as covered by Axios. It was revealed there that the new proposed Flock contract was awarded without the city's usual bidding process. He denied that McCormick's position with Flock had anything to do with the city's current legislation. Right. The justification provided for why they did not seek out bids from anybody else had nothing to do with the fact that they just hired the city council person right at the time that they decided to push through this emergency ordinance. It was that Flock was the only vendor that could offer the specific combination of sound detection, integrated video, license plate readers, and data handling. However, other companies wanted to get in on this. And I quote from ShotSpotter's corporate representatives, "We would hope to have the opportunity to participate in this evaluation process and make sure everybody here is able to make a fully informed decision regarding the options, not only with Flock, other vendors, and sound thinking." They literally showed up to a hearing to say, "We would like to be involved in this process. We also offer this." And to be clear, I don't want any of this shit in my city. I don't want ShotSpotter. I don't want Flock. I don't want any of this shit. Fuck that. Something that's listening to every single fucking thing you say all the time. Remember, in order to hear if there is a gunshot in any particular area, it has to be listening. And the idea that some AI shit that some fucking city employee can listen to is listening to everything I say everywhere I go. But the idea that Flock was the only one offering this is bullshit, because you have corporate representatives from other companies literally showing up to these hearings saying we want to be involved in the process. So what do you think is going to happen over here? Let's take a look at Ohio Code Section 102.03. No present or former public official or employee shall, during public employment or service or for 12 months thereafter, represent a client or act in a representative capacity for any person on any matter in which the public official or employee personally participated as a public official or employee through decision, approval, disapproval, recommendation, the rendering of advice, investigation, or other substantial exercise of administrative discretion. AKA, if I was involved in the decision-making process as to whether or not we are going to install Flock cameras in the city, I cannot quit my job, go work for Flock, and then tell you exactly how to ram that shit down the throat of Cleveland. That's not right. That's corrupt. That's bullshit. And it's against the state code. However, there's one loophole over here, which just makes me want to cry. And this gets to the point of the video, which is why this is always rammed through as an emergency. As used in Divisions A1, 2, and 3 of the section, matter includes any case, proceeding, application, termination, issue, or question, but does not include a proposal, consideration, or enactment of statutes, rules, ordinances, resolutions, or charter or constitutional amendments. As used in Division A4 of this section, matter includes a proposal, consideration, or enactment of statutes, resolutions, or constitutional amendments. As used in Division A of this section, represent includes any formal or informal appearance before or any written or oral communication with any public agency on behalf of any person. AKA, it excludes legislative matters, including ordinances and resolutions. What is this written as? This is written as an emergency ordinance. That is why when you see Flock cameras show up all over the fucking country, it is done as an emergency. Because they need to do it as an emergency after purchasing the city council member that helps ram it through so that it is not breaking the ordinances and the laws and it's not seen as illegal. That is why. I keep getting this question in my fucking comment section. Why does it show up as an emergency every time when it's not an emergency? It's to get around the laws to prevent corruption. It's disgusting. That was at the state level. I decided to check at the city level to see if anything like that existed, and nothing. When I look at Chapter 171, which is employment provisions of the Cleveland, Ohio City Code, it covers employment provisions, but it doesn't cover ethics violations like this type of thing. There is a city councilwoman that noticed this bullshit and called it out. I hope you understand the hesitancy I have, given a member of this body just departed to take a job at Flock that we now have a sole source contract for without an RFP process. It's bullshit. I hope you see it for what it is. One of my personal favorites is in Moreno Valley, where they hired the mayor, not after he quit, while he was still the mayor. And they wanted to install Flock cameras in the city. Then he sued Flock because he claimed that he got fired after not wanting to help them by using his inside connections to sell Flock cameras to the city. In the Cleveland case, they hired an ex-city council member right as he quit. Here, they just hired the mayor while he's still the mayor. And you could read the entire lawsuit over here. It's hysterical and disgusting at the same time. There's a reason that Flock is so interested in hiring the mayors and the city council members of all of these cities that they want to install cameras into. And it's not because they just want to be friends. It's because they want to jam this surveillance technology down your throat whether you like it or not. And there's a reason that they like to use emergency ordinances in order to do it. And I hope you notice. I've started noticing. I hope you do as well. I kind of wonder if this is a lobbying company masquerading as as a camera or AI company, because this is what they're really good at. It's one thing to create one of these devices, to attach a ChatGPT API to a camera and put it on a telephone pole. It is another to bypass every single fucking step in the city procurement process, the state procurement process, to ram this shit down people's throats even when they don't want it. In my opinion, that's what Flock really is. But you let me know what you think in the comments down below. Why do you think these always get rammed through as emergency ordinances? What do the laws say in your city or state? Look it up, follow it through, and you'll understand. One of the actionable items that I think cities and states can take to try and protect themselves or inoculate themselves against this, which would also save them a lot of money in their budget, is make sure that you do not have these carve-outs over here for emergencies. And secondly, make sure that emergency is maybe a little bit more strictly defined. At the very least, leave a little bit of breathing room in there so that when something as obviously disgusting as this occurs, you have the leeway to do something about it rather than just having them sit there going, you can't touch me, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. Because that's sadly the place that many cities find themselves in right now, where even when you see this stuff and it's as clear as day, there's nothing you can do about it. And former city councilman Kerry McCormick, I'm watching you. And so, my viewers. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.
Akakuri Up Z7 reporting in. Excited to join the mission? Let's make it a success.
Originium will carve a path.
But I don't need any of those, because I already have all the metrics.
This is our chance to learn and grow.
Arts unit, optimal.
We'll see this through.
Jay.
Hey Mark, what's up?
I had a letter from the Guild of Ex-Geography Teachers.
Right.
It's about that game of GeoGuessr that we played last year.
Oh yeah, the one where I beat you twice.
I'm not sure I'm right.
I'm gonna go for the middle of this place.
I've won!
Game number 2.
Made a guess. I might be in big trouble here. I am.
Yeah!
That. They say I've brought the guild into disrepute. They're considering ejecting me.
What, making you an ex-geography teacher?
The only way I can keep my prized ex-geography teacher guild membership by exacting revenge in another game of GeoGuessr against you immediately.
Okay, at your own risk.
It's one I'm willing to take.
So, we're playing GeoGuessr again. Just like last time, it's 2 games, 5 rounds each, and the loser has to travel in real life to the location they guessed the furthest from and take a selfie. But to make things more terrifying for both of us, this time we've upped the ante. 1, GeoGuessr have sent us locations that are even further away and harder to get to. 2, we've only got 2 minutes per round. And 3, in the second game, we're not allowed to move. But to give us some extra help, GeoGuessr have provided us with a genuine GeoGuessr nerd that we can send a screenshot to help us out if we get stuck. But we're only allowed to use him once in each game.
So, without further ado, it's time to play Mapmen GeoGuessr 2. Mark's Revenge?
Mapmen play GeoGuessr and then go to the place again. I just felt a proper knot in my stomach.
I feel like Jay recognises the colours of every bus, so I need no buses. Oh my goodness, what the hell is that? What?
I haven't learned all the buses off by heart, but I know an elephant when I see one, and that's an elephant right there, which puts us in, well, let's see, Is this an imported elephant or is it a native elephant? Mark, how good are you at looking at road signs and working out what the language is?
Sorry, I've just moved to a totally different area of the map accidentally. I don't know what's happened there.
I am in a terrible panic because what I've seen here is not only is it a language I don't speak, it's a language I can't identify. I've never seen that text before.
So actually, I'm having a slight problem with my mouse. It's going all over the place here.
Well, I can see what side of the road.
Oh my goodness, I know what country I'm in.
You do? Uh-oh, let's put you ahead of me straight
Even though
away.
my mouse is absolutely... Actually, I'm going to have to use my trackpad over here because my mouse has lost the plot.
When you say your mouse has lost the plot, it sounds like you're talking about your pet.
Oh, I thought I saw a flag. The problem is if I'm wrong, I'm very wrong. But I think I know where I am because I think I saw its flag. Did I?
Have you been here before?
Well, I'm not telling you that, obviously.
Oh, that's true, because I know where you haven't been. Also, I've never seen this before. It looks like the cars have got red number plates. There's only 30 seconds to go, and I am not confident.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, that's a clue. Yeah, I feel a bit more confident now. I think I know where we are.
I've made a guess, and I don't think it's a very good one, but I've only got 15 seconds to try and improve it.
One more shot, me, give it a blossom.
What's Southerly?
Everyone's chipping in.
It's like it's saying, it's not me, don't ask what it really is.
Okay, I've made my guess. Come on.
Uh-oh.
I hope Jay's nowhere
I've got
near.
mine already.
Yes!
Oh no! Oh no! Right, where are you on this map? Because I can only see.
Well, there's a reason you can only see you. And that's because...
Oh, is it because you did such a good guess that you're right on top? Yeah, you... Oh, my... Oh, there's no coming back from that. Look how far away I am.
Hang on, can we just say, all right, when you say there's no coming back from that, the pattern of all our games and the practice games we play, the recreational games we play, when you win, it's usually I win the first 3 or 4 rounds and then you just murder me at the end with something.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
that is a pattern. So I don't have false confidence here. It's satisfying, but it's just round 1.
It's a very, very strong start for you, though. At least the weather's quite warm if I have to go there.
Round number 2.
Round number 2.
The weather's warm if you have to go there.
Oh, wait, no, it's not at all, is it?
I don't understand where you've got that from.
It's up in the mountains in February. Now, this is more like it.
No, my mouse has absolutely lost the plot, I have to say.
Still waiting
So I've
for
just
something?
gone a million miles down a road that I didn't want to do
Visibility's
because I want to.
perfect weather for snowboarding.
I wanted to look at. There was a flag, wasn't there?
I didn't see a flag.
No, didn't you?
But also, I think that in that last round, there was a... Wait, you talking about the last round?
No,
or you
in
talking
this
about
one.
Oh, in this one? Uh-oh. No, I didn't see a flag. All I can see is road markings, side of the road we're driving on, vehicles,
God.
distant mountains, and... Well, there's a language. But this doesn't narrow it down for me. If it's in the country I think it is, it's a very, very, very large country indeed. Yep, it's the country I think it is, and it's a very, very, very large country indeed.
Yeah, this is a large country. Well, to be honest, I'm actually still on. It's one of 2 countries, but I think I know which of the 2 countries it is. And if it is, yeah, I'm just going to put a pin down because I get nervous about not putting a pin down.
Oh, that's true. One time I did a practice game not long ago where I quite simply didn't click at all and got the lowest possible score of 0, putting me a distance of infinitely far away.
So this is where people who know things about things like number plates come in. I mean, we could always use Bloom. The thing is, I've got a safety net, haven't I? I've got a cushion. I've got a cushion.
I feel like waiting a little bit later until we need Bloom.
I'm going to relax onto my cushion.
I've been exercising really hard. Gotta get rid
Okay,
of all
good.
sorts of emergencies,
Yes.
you know?
Oh, I thought I knew where I was, but now I'm in an absolutely terrible panic.
Are you? Well, you've got 14 seconds, so make sure you put somewhere down. Yeah, I'm just going to go with where I am, sort of thing.
Oh, phew.
Okay.
That's
fair enough. Oh, you did better that time.
bad.
You've made up a bit of ground.
Hey, do you know what happened? Like, you'll see.
You went wrong country.
Am I in the right country?
No. But you're closer than me.
Yes, because as you'll know, the US-Canada border is one of the longest, actually it's the longest border in the whole wide world, making this quite possible that you can be in the wrong country but much, much closer than somebody else. And where you clicked, by the way, that is where I first clicked and then panicked and went further west, and thank goodness I did, because I'm still losing. I'm still massively losing.
And thank goodness you did, because you've made up a bit of ground. So I think we're getting into Bloom territory.
Onward with round 3, I guess.
No, my mouse has properly decided to pack it up. Is that good content? My mouse doesn't work.
Your mouse.
I keep trying it and then it doesn't work again.
Well, this is a nice, well-kept dual carriageway. Is he allowed to drive in the hard shoulder on that motorcycle? Depends if it's a hard shoulder or not. This looks like a hot place.
This is a hot place. This is one of those where it could be a Bloom card, couldn't it?
Yes, but I will save my Bloom card because I found another better clue. That's a lovely clue. In fact, I'm not going to tell you what I found.
Oh dear, I haven't got a clue. Okay, hang on, really good road system, really good highway. I know what hemisphere I'm in, but I'm not finding the clue yet.
I've got mixed feelings about my clue because I'm getting mixed messages. I've seen something that tells me what country I'm definitely in, and I'm seeing other things that tell me what country I'm definitely not in, which is putting me in an absolute panic. It means I've got to remember my history as well as my geography.
A gift of the wilds. I hope you.
I wish I knew what you were talking about. I can't see that well enough. Oh no, I'm really terrified now. I think I'm.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of these two places, but it's not that. Oh no, I can't click that. No. No, I can't afford for it to be this wrong.
Oh my god, I don't know what continent I'm in. Oh dear. I'm actually in really big trouble here.
I panicked and I've made a guess because I just saw a little flash of, oh, I think this is it. But if I'm wrong, I'm very wrong. And there's 8 seconds to go until I find out whether I have to go there.
I don't know where I am. I think I've got miles away. Oh.
So, I haven't seen where you've clicked, but I am 14 miles and you are...
Yeah. You're in the lead.
So, my clue was road signs that looked very, very, very French, and I thought, I'm in France. This is a French autoroute.
Yeah.
This is the amazing thing about the reach of the actual French territory, is it goes very, very far indeed. And, you know, there was an entire different part of the world I was thinking of. I thought, what if it's French Guiana?
Can I just give you a huge irony?
Yes.
Which is that if I lose this game, I will be going to the place right next door to the place that I clicked incorrectly when it was Dakar. I clicked Mauritius.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I really need to scrub up on my French islands.
2 rounds to go, so one of us has to use our Bloom card in the next round. Otherwise, only one of us gets to use it in the whole game. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm a little bit more deflated now, I have to say. That wasn't very good for me.
Bloom card. I immediately want to use my Bloom card because I do not have enough clues about this place, and I'm hoping that the next one's going to be better because this is the middle of nowhere. You are getting a screenshot.
Ooh, okay, we have a picture here finally received from Jay, and it looks like Iceland to me. Very green, short grass, and sort of tabletop-ish mountains. Looks very much like Iceland, and the Google car we have here too. Feels very much like Iceland as well. We do have an antenna here. It is also possible in the Faroe Islands, if I'm not mistaken. So that makes this interesting. So I'm gonna say Iceland, maybe Faroe Islands, but probably Iceland. Let's see how I did.
Okay, Bloom's replied. He says, oh wait, I'm not supposed to tell you what he said. He said nothing.
Oh no, I found a dot 2 letters, but I don't know what it is. Well, that's embarrassing.
As if you'd only tell me what they are. But you won't tell me.
If I tell you, will you tell me what they are if you know?
I mean...
If I tell you, will you tell me what they are if you know?
No, because that doesn't help me at all. Ah, the speed limit is 30-something per hour. Oh, I do know what country I'm in. I have wasted my Bloom card. And I'll tell you afterwards why I think I know which country I'm in.
Where am I? Think, Mark, think.
You know what, even saying that was too much of a clue. What I should be doing is throwing you and giving you false clues, such as, God, this looks so much like New Zealand.
Yeah, but I know it's not because it's Northern Hemisphere, but what is it? Where am I?
Northern Hemisphere, that does narrow it down a little bit. In fact, I'm excited to tell you what my clue was if eventually we do find it. Oh wait, that's an actual place name. Can I do it in 5 seconds?
Oh, I have no idea.
Did you click in the middle of the sea? Oh no, the real answer was the middle of the... My goodness, we are equidistant. You and I both guessed very far away from...
That could have gone much worse for me. .fo, I saw .fo. I didn't think of the Faroe Islands.
I would have told you Faroe Islands. Okay, so the reason I clicked on Iceland is because I saw a road sign that had that letter of the alphabet that I thought they only had in Icelandic, the EV.
What did Bloom say?
Let's get him in the meeting.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So let me tell you what happened. So first of all, it was the Faroe Islands. Well done for saying it was possibly the Faroe Islands.
Okay.
What was it that made you think it might have been Faroe Islands rather than Iceland?
They happen to look super similar, so they both are very grassy like this, and then a very similar style of sort of short, relatively short mountains. And then we could see some water as well, but they happen to have a super similar look, so I wasn't totally sure.
I found a .fo, but couldn't figure it out. I just didn't know it was Faroe.
If I'd seen that .fo, I think that would.
Well, yeah, with the help you've got. So this is the standing. This is the standing now. Jay is 1,400 ahead, but I have a Bloom card to play. I will be playing it, and it's basically you versus Bloom now, Jay. And Bloom,
it's not looking good.
My reputation as an ex-geography teacher stands on the quality of your guess. And I have to hope that Jay doesn't know where he is by at least 1,000 points. So, here we go.
All to play for.
Let's do it. Last round.
And we're off.
Good luck.
Oh, please don't be some place with a bin and a council logo, Jake. Oh no, it's urban. Immediately.
It's urban. It means I just might be able to do this on my own without Bloom's help, which you're going to be using. Also, you, instead of just sending him a screenshot straight away, you need to find what's the most strategic screenshot to send.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that wants to just be perfectly silent and looking for clues without being entertaining because it matters so much.
No, Jay, you have to be entertaining. You have to be as entertaining as possible. That's the whole point of this.
Oh yeah, I forgot I've got to be entertaining. All right, well, I don't want to spoil things, but I think I have a country.
Okay, I have to get to him immediately.
Okay, we have finally received a photo, and I think we are in Chile, and I'm gonna go quick. I think we should be in Chile. I'm gonna say near Santiago as well. It doesn't look like we're too far south or too far north. Very general vibe. It could actually just be Santiago on this one, to be completely honest. We're gonna have to wait and see. But we have Spanish, we have a Chilean electricity pole here. We're right side drive. This looks like a Chilean long plate that they've been using in the last couple years. So looks like Chile.
So he's given me a country. He's given me an area.
Uh-oh.
What have you got, Jay?
Well, I thought I had a country, but obviously since the stakes are so high, I'm in a terrible panic and I no longer think it's that country. I saw something that, come to think of it, was not the right thing at all.
He said something very confidently.
Oh, wait a minute, what's that? That could help me.
Come on.
I think I've changed my mind.
Well, you've got to change it in 1 second.
No. Yes! Ha! Okay, that's very good,
no!
because I was closer, and I don't know if that means I've actually won the game yet, because I'm that bad at maths, but let me press the button and finish
you've
game.
won it.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, and I have to suffer you doing that again.
That's genuinely my reaction. I'm so relieved not to have to go to wherever the hell it was. Shall we see what happened? Game summary.
No, I don't need to see what happened. I just played it. Everyone's watched it and I've played it. We don't need to summarise the game, Jay.
Let's get Bloom back on the call.
Let's get him back on. Unfortunately,
Bloom,
Jay
Bloom,
knew it
guess
was
what, guess what?
Santiago.
I won
And he's
again!
doing that annoying face and action that he does when he's won.
Mark, what did you get from me? Did you get both of my messages?
Yeah, Chile near Santiago. I went for Santiago, but the problem is I was behind Jay already.
Well then, tell us all, Mark. Let's work out where are you going.
Don't go through this. We need to work out where you have to go. I literally clicked Indonesia when it was reunion.
Where were we in round 3 when you
It was
were
reunion.
3,464 miles away?
Bitterly disappointed about this.
I don't know where you're going. Where are you going?
I'm going to. I just said it twice.
Oh,
You're so
reunion.
wrapped up in your own victory. I'm going to reunion.
All right, well then you better go to reunion right now. Off you go.
No, I'll go when I want to.
We can't play the next round until you've been to reunion and come back.
Got any insider news? Come on.
Goodbye.
If you see something that doesn't look right.
Taxi, fin voyage de retour.
Pretty neat weapon suite.
Voyage de retour.
Got any insider news? Come on, don't make it a secret. I heard Miesco Industries just released a pretty neat weapon suite.
It's time to play round number 2, and this time there is no moving allowed. Off we go. Oh, I'm so very scared because I've just realised that even though I won last time, I could lose this time. And
You're scared.
Whoa, hang on.
Oh my god.
The only clues we have are the flag of the vessel we're on. I assume that's a flag. I can barely tell. It's just like a red splodge. This guy, who is holding the camera, and the open ocean. This is...
Am I going to play my Bloom card immediately?
I mean, is Bloom going to be any good on this? Because Bloom is good at GeoGuessr looking at places. This barely counts as a place. It's the middle of the ocean.
Can we even see where the sun is?
Well, let's see. Let's look north. Let's look up
How
at
do
the
we
sky.
get here, Jay? How do we get here if we have to go here?
Well, good news is that there are showers on this vessel. We've
what's
almost done
that?
half of our time. Okay, let's look around for clues. Let's see. Sports Australia. Can you read that word there? Abtiblab 5Q.
This is really, really tough. There is some writing there that is helpful, and there's something there in the sea. What's that in the sea, Jay?
More people diving. Is that the Loch Ness Monster? Okay,
And
let's...
what is that? There's a sort of. I have an idea for sort of the region. Oh my god, this is really. It's good. The fact that we might have to go here is. Well,
and the
it's,
fact
it's
that we
funny.
could be very wrong indeed. I'm going to say it's off the coast of Tasmania because... Wait, why am I telling you where I'm doing? I've completely forgotten what the tactics of this game are.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go off the coast of Tasmania as well.
You wouldn't dare. No, wait, is that a good thing or a bad thing that you're doing exactly the same thing as me?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Shield 6.
But
Only
I do
10
have an
seconds to go.
idea. I do have an idea.
I've just realised that I've actually guessed in the land rather than the sea.
You've guessed in the land?
We might be running low.
Well, okay. I got the right country.
Sorry.
I got about as far away from the right place in the right country as you can get. Oh,
Can
wait, no,
I just
didn't.
be Jay Foreman for a moment and go, yes, I'm winning. Oh,
no! Oh, that's really good! Well done.
Do you know where I am?
The right place, like within just a few miles.
Do you know
exactly the right.
Do you know
what was your
what's
clue?
there, though, Jay? The Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, of course. Look how far away I am. 1,811 miles.
But Jay,
I have to go to the.
remember
yes?
what happened in the last round?
That's true.
I got Bhutan. You were somewhere else in the world entirely. You thought you went, I've lost, that's it, I can't win this anymore. There's Bloom still to play for. And whilst this is one of the furthest places you might have to go, there are worse places to go.
Yes.
Should we start round 2?
We might as well. I'm not getting any
call it
readier.
the clawing it back rounds. God, that was terrifying at first, though. Okay, what on earth? I mean, okay, we can probably
localized entirely within my own kitchen.
Can you look at the northern lights and know where? Can you use the compass? I'm giving you a clue, aren't I?
You are giving me a clue. I mean, I can tell. Right, so that's north. All right.
Oh my God,
what
Jay.
have we got?
First of all, the impossibility of recreating this photo. Oh my life. Okay. I mean, there's not a lot to go on, and I don't think it's worth playing a Bloom card. Because
unless he's an expert in the Northern Lights, I'm sure Bloom is going to come in more handy, more later, on one of the rounds where we've got something other than the sky to look at. But hang on. Let's not dismiss the rest of the sky that's not Northern Lights. We've got a vehicle, albeit a silhouette of a
And
vehicle.
what side of the road is that driving on then, Jay? and can you see the number plate?
No, but also we can look at the mountains.
Yeah. And the stars? Oh, could you see anything like Orion's? But I'm going to assume it's Northern Hemisphere, right? What are we on? We're on top of a penguin. A dead penguin.
Oh, well, this is the other thing, is if it's the Southern Lights, we could be very
It's not
very
a penguin,
wrong.
Jay, I don't think. We're running out of time. I'm just going to have to click somewhere that makes a bit of sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could spend the next 32 seconds looking around for more clues just to be sure. But again, if this is the wrong poll, this is as wrong as it's possible to be, and that means this could be my only chance of potentially clawing it back.
Wait, where is mountains? I don't know.
Oh, you're right. I haven't even looked for the mountains.
I'm just giving you loads of clues. I'm so much more relaxed now you're not giving me a running commentary of all the street signs. That's what I'm enjoying about this. There's nothing more.
Whoops.
Okay. Well.
Yikes.
We were both a long way away. You're not going to Greenland at the moment.
I'm going to Australia.
You're going to the Great Barrier Reef.
You and I actually guessed
3
in
rounds.
very, very similar places. In fact, my first guess was a lot closer to where you ended up.
It's all about the deployment of the Bloom cards now, I think.
A massive gamble it is. Techno what?
I'm going to play my Bloom card.
Oh, that's a very sensible move.
All right, we have received a picture here, and wow, it feels like maybe Mediterranean, maybe Spain, maybe Liberia. This is a crazy location, so this is not official Google Street View coverage, which makes it really confusing. Let's see what happens.
All right, well, while you're playing your Bloom card, I have no option but to look very carefully at all the clues on my own.
What are these ghosts walking across the road, sorry?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Look at that. That's quite creepy. I mean, that's either some sort of camera glitch or an actual ghost. Oh, wow, they're all ghosts. That's really creepy. But, okay, since you're playing your Bloom card, I sort of must use mine next time. Whether I want to or not. Stupid rules. I'm intrigued by this logo on this shop. It looks like a chicken drumstick disguised as a helicopter.
Come on, Bloom. Come on, Bloom.
Hey, Mark, is it considered cheating if I open another browser and then just start Googling this place?
Yes, obviously that's... Are you serious?
Oh, fair enough. Well, I guess I won't do that then. Right, what else could I pull out of my sleeve to try and win this round without any knowledge of where I am?
Oh my God. He has said somewhere I really didn't think it was, I have to say. Okay, interesting.
I've only got 30 seconds and I'm just going to have to
dear, oh dear.
Oh god, I'm getting two different places from him. They're quite different.
I've made a guess that I don't think is right at all, and I don't like it, and I can't find any better clues, and I'm sort of resigned to the fact that I'm going to Australia at this point, so maybe it doesn't matter where in the Arabic-speaking world I click.
I'm following his lead. I'm going what he said. Oh! That's interesting.
Well, okay, it was Morocco. I'm amazed you clicked in Spain.
Because he said try Spain, but interestingly, he said seems Mediterranean. He said maybe Liberia, but I didn't think Liberia was on the map, and I didn't think Morocco was on the map. Let's get him on the call, actually.
Wave.
Hello.
So,
right, Bloom, explain yourself.
Why did you think Spain or Liberia?
Okay, so here's the way my brain worked on that one. I could tell right away it wasn't official Google coverage, which makes things very hard for a GeoGuessr player. But what it looked the closest to that does have coverage was Spain to me. But then the more I looked at it, I said, no, it seems maybe more like an African Mediterranean vibe. And I actually think I meant to say Libya, but I said Liberia.
Oh, right.
Well, Libya would have been a lot closer.
You were pretty right with your kind of Spanish North African guess, because it was actually Morocco. But I am so grateful, because I think I would have guessed nowhere near this area had you not told me that. You have preserved my lead for me, which is frankly critical at this point.
I think not only is your lead preserved, I think it's unassailable now.
It is not mathematically unassailable.
I just need to absolutely smash it twice in a row. Round 4. Good luck. Thank you. Straight away, I need to work out, is this the time for the Bloom card, or is the next one the time for the Bloom card? And well, what have we got here? I need Bloom's help.
I would absolutely use Bloom's help right now.
Well, especially, do you know what else? Don't forget, Bloom's expertise is not every single place in the world that you could take a photograph of. Bloom's expertise is regular, normal, no-nonsense geoguessing.
Jay, just get on with it. You're running out of time. Stop talking.
Well, no, because I think he won't be able to help in this round, but he will be able to help in the next one, because this is not regular Google Street View. This is from a plane. This is pure geography.
But you think that he won't recognise this landscape? If it was me, I would absolutely do it, because it's such a distinct landscape. But I say such a distinct one, I don't know where it is.
You know what?
I've received a picture, and it's a drone shot. Now, what is this? I am getting put to the absolute test here. I mean, it feels, honestly, possibly North American. I'm gonna say, feels North American? A lot of what we learn as GeoGuessr pros is we learn street views, so we learn road lines, we learn languages, we learn definitely a decent bit about trees and flora and fauna, but I don't know if I even got the continent right here.
You know what, Mark, I've possibly against my better judgment, I've listened to you and I've used up my Bloom card on this round and not the next round.
I really hope the next one completely scuppers you now. Can we just all appreciate, and this is for the Guild of Ex-Geography Teachers, the river valley, the meanders, the floodplain here. It's a thing of absolute beauty. If I could spot an oxbow lake, actually I shouldn't be doing this. Where are we? Maybe we're in here, or no, not there. Don't click there. Oh, I need to use my other mouse. We're having the mouse problem again.
Other mouse? Are you using two mice? So, should I tell you what Bloom has said? No, I won't tell you.
It's one of two places for me, but I'm going to go here. Have you had an answer?
Yes, and it's not very helpful. No, it wasn't very helpful. Oh no! Oh no! Wait a minute. This is worse. This is even worse, because not only did Bloom not help me, but he gave me a very, very, very bad answer. He gave me an Antipodean answer, which means that if I lose the game, I'm no longer going to Australia. I think if I lose the game, I'm going to Mongolia.
How many points did you get?
12.
So let's jump on with Bloom.
Hello?
Bloom. Hello, Bloom. Now, you have put him on the other side of the world.
Oh god, oh god, oh god.
Bloom, I'm sure you were doing your very best, but I have to tell you, you told me your words were, feels North American, US or Canada maybe, and the answer was Mongolia.
Oh my god. Mongolia? Oh, that makes sense.
Let me show you just how far away it was. Watch this. If you rotate the map ever so slightly to the left and right, the dashed line flips from the left to the right. And what that tells you is you could not get further away around the other side of the planet than where I clicked. There's no human settlements nearby from the looks of it.
Oh dear.
Shit.
I went with Kyrgyzstan, by the way, David. Is that a terrible guess? It looked a bit...
No, that's a good guess.
No, look, you were quite close.
I know. I thought Central Asia.
The thing is, there's a lot of parts of the world that can just have mountains and rivers like this.
Well, look, you can't win now, Jay, but you could do worse than Mongolia. You could get 0 points now and have to go to the last place. But there's still a round to go.
Final round. As in the final time I ever choose to play this game. This would have been much more up Bloom Street.
Literally, there's a street.
Look at all the clues. Look at all the lovely clues that I'm not allowed to send him. This looks like it might be Europe.
Yeah, it does look quite European, doesn't it? I mean, I'm happy to just speak out loud now.
We might as well. Oh, it's a place that speaks English because there on the bin it says dog waste. You've got some bollards and you've got some street... It's the UK. I think it's the UK.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, that red brick, it does look quite British, doesn't it? That person on the bridge there, that is a classic British walk, isn't it? Can you see that?
I think so.
That's a real, hello, I'm from Britain. And most likely England?
Well, let's see. Let's not rule out the Republic of Ireland because they do have similar street furniture and they too are European and English speaking. And let's also not forget that this little sign here, the no, don't do whatever that is, I don't actually recognise.
I mean, is it definitely England? Oh, hang on, we said dog waste. Yeah. Yeah, probably is, isn't it? Those bollards are very English.
I mean, this should be a familiar city with a familiar skyscraper.
But to be fair, would you have wanted to use your Bloom card in England?
Not necessarily. I mean, if he just says, oh, I think it's the UK, and then it's my job to work out where in the UK, I'm going to do my best to click on exactly where in the UK it is.
I'm going to say, and it doesn't matter if I say things out loud now, because, I think I've won. Oxford area, maybe?
Let's not forget that basically the furthest away that I click is where I have to go, which means it's going to have to be Mongolia, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, here is what's happened. I did not fancy a trip to Mongolia. I could not win, and therefore I used my geography skills to get myself as far away as I could possibly go from the UK. And I, with stunning accuracy, got myself not 12 points, but 0 points, because I got the exact antipodes of the UK. Not in New Zealand, but in a region in the middle of the sea to the southeast of New Zealand. So guess what it means? I've lost the game, and I've got no points at all, but I have to travel all the way to Manchester, England. Ha 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 ha! Yes! Oh, I'll be back in time for tea. Oh, I'm so pleased.
No, I cannot. This is, You've cheated. Mark. You've done so badly. You've cheated.
That is exactly
you've cheated
what's
at
happened.
The game.
And rules is rules.
Right. Well, I wish I had slightly more satisfaction saying this to you, Jay. But no, stop laughing. Honestly, it's. Oh. You're off to Manchester. Pack your bag.
Off I go. All right.
And go. See you in a few hours.
See you in a bit. Hello, Mark.
Hello. How was Manchester?
Oh, it took all day.
You so cheated.
I don't think I did.
Guild of Ex-Geography Teachers have been in touch.
And?
Last game salvaged it. I'm still an ex-geography teacher.
Well, that's good, because I got a letter from them too, and they granted me membership.
What? But you're not an ex-geography teacher.
I am now. I guess they were just really impressed with my geography expertise.
Right then, let's say best of 3.
You're on.
Федеральная антимонопольная служба объявила вне закона рекламу на нежелательных площадках, доступ к которым ограничивается в России. В частности, имеется в виду YouTube и Telegram. Пока это еще мнение одной из служб, и формально ничего не запрещено. В общем-то, формально и не блокируется пока YouTube и Telegram. Но дело явно идет к этому. Если вспомнить здесь и анонс блокировки Телеграма с 1 апреля, то перед нами вырисовывается конкретная картина. Государство собирается прихлопнуть блогосферу как явление. И с точки зрения технической, и гораздо важнее, с точки зрения коммерческой. Нежелательные платформы — это...
$1 million. That's how much it costs to have a game trailer be featured to the millions of people watching the yearly Game Awards ceremony. However, during the final game reveal of 2025's award show, usually the moment everyone is waiting for, we'd see the showrunner preparing us to witness a new revolutionary multiplayer game made by an independent, self-published studio. And you know what? He wasn't exaggerating. In fact, the game was so revolutionary that it managed to get bombarded by negative reviews from the moment it launched, proceeded to lose over 90% of its player base within less than a week after launch, fired 80% of its staff in barely 2 weeks after launch, and shut down the entire studio as well as the game itself in less than 45 days after launch. The story of Highguard is one of utter mismanagement, blatant lies about its independent status, and uncontrollable hubris that spanned over half a decade of development. I mean, it was such a disaster that it most likely burned through tens of millions of dollars of funding, with some even theorizing that the total amount could have been over 200 million. So how did these developers that worked on nothing but industry-defining blockbusters over the years fail so miserably? And why did one of the most influential figures in gaming decide to stake his entire reputation all for the sake of peddling Highguard harder than any other game in his career? Well, as you might expect, the story is very messy and has a lot of details. So, without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so to really understand the disaster of Highguard, we actually have to go all the way back to 1995 when the Electronic Entertainment Expo, otherwise known as E3, would launch. Back then, video games were nowhere near close to how big they are today, and this expo was mostly used to showcase to publishers and, well, business people certain aspects of the video game industry. Throughout the years that followed, though, gaming would start to become more and more profitable and mainstream. E3 would benefit from this directly, and it would become the biggest video game-related event every single year in parallel to its European counterpart, which was Gamescom. It would consistently be held in the summer of every year, more specifically in the month of June. One of the biggest highlights of E3 was during the peak of the console wars, when you had PlayStation and Xbox rent out spaces a few feet away from each other as they were presenting the next generation consoles that would define gaming for the next few years. This is what E3 truly was all about. However, as you might know by now, all good things come to an end, and E3 unfortunately was no exception. For many people, the end of E3 was due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but in other ways, one could say that it began prior. From the day this expo was created, the only people who had access to E3 were industry insiders or press. Regular people had no access, but E3 2019 changed that. This allowed 15,000 regular people, non-industry insiders, to buy tickets that were priced at over $100 so that they could, for the first time, join in on the fun. This showed that E3 was looking for more ways to make money. It simply wasn't sustainable to run this based purely on industry insiders. In 2020, the public passes were going to go from 15,000 to 25,000, showing a real need of more ways to make money. However, due to the pandemic, everything came to a halt. Unlike other conventions or events that brought their content online or remote, E3 decided to pretty much kill everything. 2020 was the only year since 1995 that had nothing to do with the Electronic Entertainment Expo. Now look, it's no secret, there are certain developers like Nintendo who've been holding their own presentations every single year since 2014. E3 shutting down in 2020 only made it more clear. Nintendo Direct is not only here to stay, it should be the primary source of Nintendo news. Xbox, who would usually reserve their biggest announcements for E3, would take a page out of Nintendo's playbook, inaugurating the Xbox Games Showcase, which has been, since that year, their main way to showcase their biggest announcements. PlayStation would do the exact same thing with the State of Play. In 2021, E3 was still not held physically, but this time they held it remotely with anyone able to join. They were hoping to return to an in-person event by 2022, but those plans were also completely scrapped, and there wasn't even a digital event. It was just like 2020. They were finally meant to bring back E3 physically in 2023, but due to the lack of interest by publishers who had already spent so much making their own shows, they just decided to flat out cancel it. This wasn't just the console makers making their own shows, you had developers making their own shows too, like EA Play, the Ubisoft conference, the Square Enix conference. E3 was essentially made redundant, and the pandemic only accelerated that. I truly think that this was where the world was headed anyway. Problem is though, now you had multiple different conferences to look forward to for different publishers and games, and that in turn left a huge vacuum for any mid-sized or indie-sized studio. Where were they meant to talk about their games? Well, that's where Jeff Keighley comes in. Look, Jeff, when it comes to the video game industry, has been a veteran for a very long time. If you followed any gaming news or events, you must have definitely seen his face at least once, whether it be E3, Gamescom, or any high-profile gaming-related event. His story goes back decades, even though the guy for some reason never ages. He was truly able to put his name on the map when he was the only journalist who was present with Valve as they were launching Half-Life 2. Taking you behind the scenes in a studio, Valve, which is known to be quite secretive to the public. He was also involved in his fair share of controversies like the whole Dorito-gate saga, when he presented the Halo partnership with Mountain Dew and Doritos, which led to this famous picture. Fundamentally though, to Jeff, his goal has always been to give gaming what it deserves, and that's to put it on par with other creative avenues, like movies. Both his parents were executives at IMAX. This meant that he constantly attended things like the Oscars. From an early age, he wondered why video games didn't have an equivalent to the Oscars, even though they were a medium that deserved it. In 2014, he would do something ridiculous, insane even, which is creating a new award show for video games with money out of his own pocket. He refused to fundraise it because he said it would be too awkward. He wanted to put his money where his mouth was. The reason why he was insane was because throughout the years, there were many other attempts to do this. These gaming awards, none of them would really stick. But over the years, he did exactly that. It actually stuck and has now become an integral part of video games. However, as E3 shut down, he also saw another opportunity, filling the void that it left. This is when he would launch the Summer Game Fest. It took place in the same month that E3 took place in. It wasn't rocket science. It aimed to fill the exact void left over by E3's cancellation. This meant that Jeff and his production team would not only head the prestigious Game Awards in December, but would also have another event called the Summer Game Fest in the summer. Both of these events would have game reveals, and both of them would be watched by hundreds of thousands of people expecting to see games that will revolutionize the space. When it came to the Game Awards in particular, over the years, it had gotten so successful with such a high, consistent viewership that by 2025, it was reported that if you want to showcase a 3-minute trailer during the awards, it would cost you over $1 million, almost doubling the prices from 2024. And of course, it goes without saying, the most valuable slot in the entire award show is the final game that's shown. In show business, you always save the best for last. You want people to keep watching. And so, this is why it was so shocking to the world that for the Game Awards 2025, with such high prices, the game deemed most valuable in the entire show, the one shown at the end, would be something they had never heard of before, Highguard. And this is how it would be presented. Take a look for yourself.
You know, sometimes our last reveal at the Game Awards is a teaser for something years and years away. Not tonight. Our final world premiere comes from 61 members of the team that built Apex Legends and Titanfall. 4 years ago, the principals founded a new independent studio with the hopes of pushing the shooter genre forward with a new original game. They've done it in complete secrecy, which is even more amazing because the game is very deep into development. The power of independent, self-published studios to push this medium forward is a growing and I think positive theme in our industry. And so tonight, you're not only going to get the announcement of the game, but also your first look at the gameplay. I've played it, and after you see this trailer, I think you're going to want to as well. Welcome to Highguard.
Yeah, 1,200 likes on the video, 17,000 dislikes. Now, I'm not going to show you the gameplay just yet. You need even more context to understand just how ridiculous everything he said truly was. Prior to this Game Awards show, Jeff would tweet coordinates, okay, on Twitter, just randomly, that would lead you to this weird statue in the middle of the Mojave Desert. It was an enigma. For weeks, people had no idea what it was. This was the main mystery of the Game Awards, and that game ended up being none other than Divinity, made by Larian Studios, the same people who made Baldur's Gate 3. To many, this was the biggest game of the Game Awards. This was meant to be the final game to be shown, right? The biggest event of that day. Instead, what people got was a game they never heard of before, that looked fairly generic, that didn't really seem to make it clear what it was about. Jeff had hyped this up like a revolutionary title, but it looked like any other game you could find on Steam right now.
Pretty crazy, that's right. Highguard launches in just 7 weeks on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. It is insanely fun to see, fun to play, as you saw in that trailer. And now it's time for our final award. Last year, Astrobot.
So there it was, the biggest game of this prestigious award show, coming out in 7 weeks and seemingly out of nowhere. So as you would expect, people put on their investigative fedoras to determine where this independent, self-publishing developer, as Jeff described it, came from. And that investigation would only lead to more confusion and suspicion. You see, the studio behind Highguard, Wildlight Entertainment, made their first announcement to the public that they exist back in the beginning of 2023. Here we can see the design and creative director of Wildlight making a tweet saying, "What have I been up to over the last year anyway? Working hard on a game with amazing people who I trust very much. Today we announced Wildlight Entertainment, our new studio. I've never been happier, prouder, and hyped for the game we're working on." As we can see in his Twitter bio, he had worked on Apex Legends, Titanfall 1 and 2, Modern Warfare 2, and Call of Duty World at War, to name a few. So these are very well-regarded games in the industry. This is when the studio would also create its Twitter account saying, "Hello world. We're very excited today to announce our new game studio, Wildlight Entertainment. We've got big dreams of creating an epic shooter IP." And here we can see a Zoom call of 22 different staff members that were working at that studio as early as 2023. It wouldn't even take a day for game publications to start reporting on this. Former Apex Legends, Titanfall developers create new studio, Wildlight Entertainment. The studio head would be Chad, someone who was at Respawn Entertainment for around 11 years. He was also the ex-game director for Apex Legends, a game that had, well, made a lot of money. So no wonder many publications were talking about it. You have a bunch of ex-Infinity Ward and ex-Respawn Entertainment developers that made their studios a lot of money, now forming their own. And so far, other than this very limited array of information we have from 2023, the only other thing we knew was from Jeff Keighley himself, calling it a self-published independent studio studio, even though their own company LinkedIn page as early as 2023 would say Wildlight Entertainment is a new, fully funded entertainment studio, never really specifying where they got their money from. In fact, what I find interesting is that the website linked on their LinkedIn is wildlightentertainment.com. And when you go there, it says we're under construction, please check back for an update soon. It's not even wildlight.gg, which actually works. But this little piece of mismanagement aside, Wildlight was about to face a world of hurt that they could have never predicted after their reveal at the Game Awards. You see, back in 2024, Sony launched Concord, a multiplayer shooter that was meant to be live service that cost over $400 million, and that was such a disastrous flop, it shut down in under 2 weeks. I mean, it resulted in a studio that Sony had bought to shut down immediately afterwards. This made many people ask the question, who asked for this game to begin with? Ever since then, whenever someone comes out with a newly announced live service multiplayer game, they're placed under 1,000 times more scrutiny due to this. And while I'm sure the Highguard developers, after working in secrecy for so long, were so excited about the Game Awards reveal, what they could have probably never expected is that people were making direct comparisons of their game to Concord, the worst thing you can ever hope to happen in this day and age. Based on this uninspired generic gameplay they showed during the Game Awards, even with Jeff's insane hype towards it, it seemed like it was going to be nothing more than a Concord 2.0, any developer's worst nightmare. But you know what didn't help at all? Highguard's social media page would tweet almost immediately after the trailer would come out during the Game Awards, saying, "What a night! We'd like to extend a big thank you to Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards. We have so much in store for you when the game launches on January 26th, and can't wait to welcome everyone into the world of Highguard. We'll see you next year, Wardens." Okay, this is a post you would expect them to make after the big reveal, sure. You know what else you would expect though? Them continuing to tweet up until release day. Except they didn't. They literally disappeared, to the point where many gaming publications, including Forbes, would start making articles about how they went MIA right after the Game Awards. No new videos on their YouTube page, no new tweets on their Twitter account, nothing. Radio silence, and the game was meant to come out 3 weeks from then. This article was written on January 6th. The game was going to come out in 20 days. 6 days later, Paul Tassi from Forbes would write another article on January 12th, titled "The Highguard Mystery, 2 weeks to launch in complete silence." Now look, to be fair, this could have been a genius marketing move. Everyone was talking about this game, saying how they probably closed down or declared bankruptcy right before launch. However, in my opinion, you'd be naive to think that there's no such thing as bad publicity all the time. No, there are exceptions. This isn't the Wolf of Wall Street. When your game is being called by so many people Concord 2, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy unless you're there to stop it. Highguard wasn't there to stop it. In fact, a new theory is popping up now, the fact that they weren't even going to release anymore. And just as you thought that things couldn't get worse so shortly before the game was meant to launch, things got even weirder. The senior writer of Gaming and Tech at VentureBeat, Imran Khan, would come out with the news. Highguard did not pay a single penny to be featured in the most valuable spot in the Game Awards spotlight. That's right, the same Game Awards that charges $1 million for 3 minutes gave its most valuable spot during the entire show for free. On January 17th, 2026, 9 days before the game was meant to come out, Forbes would also confirm this, citing 2 separate sources that reached out, confirming, yes, they didn't pay a single penny. Jeff just really liked the game and offered it to them. So there we were, 9 days away from release, and this bombshell dropped. Is this Concord 2.0? Did they go bankrupt before the game even releases? And why the hell did Jeff give his most popular spot in the show to this very generic looking game? The gaming community was truly baffled at something that had never really occurred before. And just as the discourse was running rampant on every piece of social media you can imagine, something completely unexpected ended up happening, and that's Highguard finally breaking their silence barely 3 days before release. On January 22nd, 2026, Jeff Keighley would tweet, "Just 4 days until the launch of Highguard on Monday on Steam and consoles." Bear in mind, up until this point, Highguard had said nothing since the Game Awards reveal. Jeff was single-handedly carrying this game's entire marketing, and many of the comments are pretty much saying this. Paul Tassi, the same guy who wrote those Forbes articles, would literally say, "Have you heard anything? Like, is the developer still here? Did they not go bankrupt?" And it would only be on January 23rd 3rd, 2026, that Highguard would finally make some sort of social media announcement 3 days before their release, saying, "Tune in on Monday, January 26th at 10 a.m. PT for the Highguard launch showcase. Here, we'll share an in-depth look at Highguard direct from the studio, featuring a full gameplay deep dive, year 1 plans, and much more." As you can imagine, many of the comments were roasting them, grilling them, with some acknowledging that this might have just been a very good marketing strategy. The Highguard account would then begin a countdown, posting every day.
Okay,
up until release, saying 1 day remains. And you know what? Looking at some of these 420 replies, there was some excitement brewing. You know, people were very curious to see, why was Jeff talking about this game so much? And God, talking about it was an understatement. The guy couldn't stop talking, as if they held his family hostage. On January 23rd, he would just tweet this image randomly saying, "Highguard, January 26th at 10 a.m. PST," signaling when it would release. Someone in the replies would say, "Thanks, Jeff," to which Jeff would say, "See you online. It's a special one." The next day, he'd post a badge saying, "I first went hands-on last summer and had so much fun with Highguard. Now it's your turn on Monday. Curious what everyone thinks." On that same day, he would post a GIF saying, "In 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apologies, so when Highguard comes out." On January 26th, when the game would come out, he'd post a screen cap of a Polygon article. The title was, "Highguard isn't dead on arrival. In fact, after 4 hours, I'm convinced it's one of the best new shooters in years." This didn't really mean much though, because Polygon thought Dragon Age the Veilguard was actually good, along with Concord. 1 minute later, after that Polygon post, he would make another post with 4 different images of the game saying, "Screenshots from Highguard, now live and free." Look, I think you get the point I'm trying to make here. This guy was tweeting and talking about this game more than their official account. And when I say this guy, I mean one of, if not the most influential voice in video gaming. For some reason, he decided to stake his entire reputation on this game being a success, being fun, being good. So much so that he gave it his most valuable spot in his show. At this point, there was 3 possibilities. He had a financial stake in this game, his family was being held hostage by Highguard devs, or he just genuinely wanted to help. Regardless of those possibilities though, he just staked his entire reputation on this game, and that meant something. Some of the biggest streamers and content creators would check out this game as soon as it would release. Yes, of course some would be sponsored, that was Highguard's social media strategy, similarly to Apex Legends, we'll get more into that later, but let's not pretend that they wouldn't have played it anyway, because god, the curiosity would kill you. Why is this guy who's so influential in the video game industry staking everything for it? It must be good, right? Well, actually it was dude, it was fucking mid. The trailer turned out to actually do it a lot of justice. It was generic as hell. Jeff's efforts would make it so that the game had 100,000 concurrent players on release. That's a crazy number. However, even Jeff's endless marketing wouldn't prove good enough if your game just doesn't cut it, and it didn't. The player count would fall off very quickly. Almost a day after the game would come out, Jeff would tweet, "Thoughts on Highguard so far?" This tweet has over 7.5 million views, 5,900 replies. It was safe to say that he didn't really get the response he was looking for. I'm sure he was hoping for, "Jeff, you're right. Sorry, you proved me wrong." But instead, he got the absolute opposite. And of course, one of the biggest questions being asked at the time was, why did he shill this game so damn hard knowing that it's nothing special? Someone would at Jeff saying, "Hey Jeff, I was wondering if you financially backed Highguard during development or owned some percentage of the company." Obviously you don't have to answer, just curious if you have any incentive with Wildlight Entertainment if they hit certain earning thresholds. To which he would reply with, "Lol, absolutely not." This meant that the 3 possibilities I listed earlier now were down to 2. Either Highguard developers held his family hostage, or he genuinely was just trying to help. Well, as I mentioned, even his help wouldn't be enough if the game wasn't up to par. On Steam, the game would open up with overwhelmingly negative reviews, with only 17% of them being positive. The main complaints were poor performance, uninspired art direction, and just tedious gameplay. Look, if I had to explain to you the purpose of a game, like let's say Call of Duty or Apex Legends, it would take me 10 seconds. Like for example, in Apex Legends you have multiple operators, each with different abilities. You land on a big map and your goal is to loot gear to survive, hunting down other players and being the last team to live. Done. Yeah, well, just to explain the gameplay loop of Highguard, GameSpot made a YouTube short. This was them trying to explain it as fast and simply as possible. You want to know how long the short is? 1 minute 48 seconds. They needed almost 2 minutes to explain to you the gameplay loop of Highguard. That already says a lot to the complexity and tediousness of this game. Look, overall, it doesn't take a genius to understand from their trailer. You had multiple wardens, characters you could play with different abilities. You and your team would also vote on a base. There was multiple types of bases that you could start with. The whole point of this game was to fortify your base and attack the other base. You had to find a sword on a map which would allow you to destroy the shield of the enemy base, and then you'd be the attacker, they'd be the defender. And in order to win, you'd have to destroy multiple things in that base of theirs, their generators, their power, etc., etc. That's it really in an utter nutshell. Now look, in theory, this might sound fun, but there were some things that just didn't really make much sense that really added to the tediousness. This map was absolutely massive, and yet it was only 3v3. That to many people didn't make much sense. These aspects of tediousness as well as uninspired gun gameplay, coupled with the fact that everything looked generic, a McDonald's type of art direction, as you might say, like as if you bought a bunch of different assets from a marketplace, gave the impression to many people that this was some sort of a Frankenstein game. Like they just took a bunch of different things they developed over a couple of years and just shipped it together just to get something out for people to play. And even though the game was free, the game was bleeding players like it had been struck in an artery. As of now, even game journalists found this game to be lacking, uninspiring, giving it a 63 out of 100 Metacritic score, but the real pain came from the players, 2.6 out of 10 from almost 300 user ratings. Steam currently has over 30,000 reviews, and it's sitting on mixed, with only 46% of them having something positive to say. The day after release, Jeff would acknowledge that things weren't going that well for him. He'd jokingly say, "Opening X this morning," while linking an image of Flynn Rider from Tangled surrounded by many different swords. This tweet would again gain a lot of exposure, 5 million views, 47,000 likes, 2,000 replies. And again, as you might imagine, a lot of them were not positive. Many people in the industry would take notice of this, and some would choose to speak out against it. You'd have the vice president and co-founder of Epic Games say, "It's downright horrible," referring to all the hate this new game was getting. Especially a free game from a new studio. Just so sad. This is a hobby for people they should approach with joy, not hatred. Of course, many of these 200 replies would not have positive things to say. One of the tweets on this topic that will get the most attention would be from Sven Vinke, the studio head of Larian, the creators behind Baldur's Gate 3, saying, "I don't like people shitting on things others have created. Putting something out into the world makes you vulnerable, and that alone deserves respect, even if you dislike the creation. It's easy to destroy things, it's a lot harder to build them. The best critics understand this. Even when they're being critical, they do their best not to be hurtful." Again, as you might expect, the top replies, the most liked ones at least, were not in agreement with him. The top replies, the most liked ones at least, were not in agreement with him. In just one day, Highguard would lose half its player count. Another day would pass by, they would lose yet another 50% of their player count. It seemed like with every passing day, thousands of players were leaving. But hey, it seemed like they weren't going to let that get in the way of their plans. Shortly after the game would come out, they would tweet, "Here's a look at the Highguard Year 1 game plan. Episode 2 arrives in 2 weeks. Each episode is 2 months long. Content shown is free for all players." And they would have plans up until December 2026. Every 2 months you'd have a new warden, a new character to play. Every 4 months you'd have a new map. Ranked mode was coming soon, you'd have new weapons, new raid tools, new limited time game modes. I mean, it seemed like they had things figured out. It seemed like they were here for the long run, regardless if players were leaving or not. It also seemed like they were very open for feedback and weren't afraid to try new things. On January 30th, the #1 marketer of this game, Jeff Keighley, would tweet out, "Highguard has added a 5v5 raid mode to the game, playable today." Now, did that help with player retention? Yes, a few thousands would play, realize that the game just wasn't for them, like definitively, and then it would proceed to lose many more players, reaching below 10,000 on the 3rd of February, and only dwindling more since then. By February 12th, the game would be down to 3,100 players on Steam, and with every passing day they kept losing hundreds more. Even with their 1-year planning strategy and their willingness to accept feedback, it seemed like the Conqueror 2 prophecy was coming true no matter how hard they tried to fight it. This would be directly confirmed to us because in barely just 2 weeks after the launch of the game, the majority, not just a small chunk, the majority of the employees working at Wildlight Entertainment would get laid off. On February 12th, 2026, when the game was down to a mere 3,000 players on Steam and no doubt a few thousand on consoles as well, the Twitter account Shinobi602 would tweet out, "Highguard developer Wildlight Entertainment has seemingly laid off most of its staff," quoting a LinkedIn post from an employee in which they said, "Unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today." The LinkedIn post would go deeper, saying, "This one really stings as there was a lot of unreleased content I was really looking forward to that I and others designed for Highguard." This person in particular was a senior level designer with 7 years of experience in the AAA game space. It has now been 3 weeks, and as far as I could tell from his profile, he's still looking for a job. Around the same time, another employee would make a Twitter article titled "Reflecting on Shipping My First Game, Highguard." This post would prove to be a disaster. The developer in question would get brigaded and bombarded with some very harsh words, turning a very bad situation even uglier. And it would mainly be due to a couple of paragraphs that I'll read out to you, and, well, you can make up your own mind. He'd say that the game had unbiased internal pre-reveal feedback, and it was quite positive. When it was negative, it was constructive and often actionable, indicating that there was, as far as they were concerned, nothing wrong with the game. He'd then continue, but then the trailer came out, and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive reviews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative-leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not. The hate started immediately. In addition to dogpiling on the trailer, I personally came under fire due to my naivete on Twitter, which almost all of my now former coworkers had learned to avoid during their previous game launches, he explained. After setting my Twitter account to private to protect my sanity, community, many content creators made videos and posts about me and my cowardice, amassing millions of views and inadvertently sending hundreds of angry gamers into my replies. They laughed at me for being proud of the game, told me to get out the McDonald's applications, and mocked me for listing having autism in my bio, which they seemed to think was evidence the game would be woke trash. All of this was very emotionally taxing. He would then acknowledge that there's much constructive criticism about the trailer, marketing, and launch, but also isn't sure if things would have been better had the game not been announced at the Game Awards. He would then say, "We were turned into a joke from minute one, largely due to the false assumptions about $1 million ad placement, which even prominent journalists soon began to state was fact. Within minutes, it was decided. This game was dead on arrival, and creators had free rage-bait content for a month. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to hell. Comment sections were flooded with copy-paste meme phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. At launch, we received over 14,000 review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. We finished this by saying, if this pattern continues, all that will be left are corporations, at least in the multiplayer space. Innovation is on life support. Even if Highguard had a rocky launch, our independent, self-published, dev-led studio full of passionate people just trying to make a fun game with zero AI and zero corporate oversight deserve better than this. We deserve the bare minimum of not having our downfall be gleefully manifested." Barely a couple of days after this article would come out on Twitter, this developer would end up deleting his account. For many of his loudest haters, this article he wrote was nothing more than him playing the victim, blaming gamers, blaming content creators, blaming pretty much anyone except maybe himself and the game developers that made this game that seemingly no one asked for. On the other hand, though, one can understand his frustration. He had worked for almost 3 years on a game, finally revealed it, and within the span of a month, his whole life fell apart. I don't know what he was hoping to do with this article, but, you know, in the end, as we can see, his account was gone. But that was the least of his worries and the least of many other people's worries when it came to Highguard. That's because barely a day after the mass layoffs would happen, Highguard's website, when you'd go to it, would say, "Site unavailable. This site is currently unavailable. Please contact some email for assistance." Under that, you would see a link to their Discord server and their Twitter profile. Now, the Twitter link worked. The Discord link, on the other hand, did not. In fact, when you would click on it, it would redirect you to a completely different and unrelated Discord server by the name of Highguard Gaming Guild. This had nothing to do with the game. It was just called Highguard. They didn't even bother posting the right server in that link. Additionally, as this was all happening, Highguard couldn't even be found as a YouTube category anymore. Usually when you upload a video of a game, you can very easily label it. Let's say League of Legends or Call of Duty. Highguard had a category, but it was removed. And during all this, someone would ask in the correct Highguard Discord server, "What's up with the website being updated?" And someone from the Highguard team would say, "Not sure on the time frame, but basically needs to be transferred and simplified. Low priority at the moment, reputational damage already done. Now we just need to focus on delivering updates and content to improve." Now look, I already know what you're thinking. Mugen, this is a catastrophe. This is a disaster. What the hell is happening? Oh yeah, it is. You're completely right about that. But here's the thing. It's about to get a million times worse. Remember how Jeff had introduced Highguard's developer? Here are his exact words. This is how he described them.
The power of independent, self-published studios push the...
Independent, self-published studios. Earlier than this, during this clip, he would also call them independent, indie. Hell, even the employee who had written that article before deleting his account would refer to them the same exact way. Independent, self-published studio. We were under the impression this studio was independent, self-funded. This is what everyone was saying. However, on February 17th, 2026, the same day their website would go down, the games journalist Stefan Totillo would drop a bombshell saying, sources, Tencent secretly funded struggling shooter Highguard. Wildlight Entertainment has said for years it was fully funded, but not shared detail. Stephen's article would go into specifics, saying that it wasn't Tencent, the Chinese entity that directly funded them. It was done through a subsidiary, Timmy, saying sources familiar with the Tencent Wildlight connection said that Tencent studio group Timmy was the group backing Wildlight. They did not specify to GameFile the reason for the secrecy about the agreement, nor did they share the scale. It's unclear if or when the funding ended and how that relates to last week's layoffs. Wildlight has been technically independent and not part of Timmy. Timmy/Tencent are massive massive players in gaming, and yes, they are. I've mentioned them on this channel already. One can't forget that Tencent Games owns Honor of Kings, the highest grossing mobile game of all time ever in the history of humanity, sitting at $18.6 billion, making even more money than Candy Crush Saga. Let's also not forget that they own 40% of Epic Games, as well as 100% of Riot Games, the creators of League of Legends. This, of course, dealt an even bigger blow to Highguard's already dwindling reputation that was down in the gutter. People felt like they were lying about their whole independent, self-published status. And while we don't have a specific number as to how much Tencent could have funded the studio with, some people have been floating around the idea that it was over $200 million. And saying that the studio was technically founded in 2021, announced in 2023, and had its first game launched in 2026, those many years of development could very easily span tens of millions of dollars. But look, Highguard was already in the shitter, okay? They had laid off most of their staff. I mean, come on, this was going to be dead. This was truly going to be Concord 2. The person suffering from this Tencent connection was Jeff Keighley. Now, there was a conspiracy. Maybe Jeff wasn't doing this because his family was held hostage or out of the goodness of his heart. There was again a third possibility in the mix. He was doing this for real financial incentive because Tencent and Jeff Keighley maintain a long-standing strategic partnership focused on expanding the global reach of the Game Awards and other gaming events. Since 2016, this collaboration has facilitated the show's distribution in China, and one can see that the senior vice president of Tencent, Xiaoyi Ma, is sitting on the advisory board of the Game Awards. So by February 19th, Jeff's posts on Twitter, in which he would talk about things unrelated to Highguard, would have questions about this. Are you secretly funded by Tencent? Were you pressured by Tencent to make these posts about Highguard? What's going on exactly? This studio is about to completely close its doors. The game was very mid. You must have been lying that you had fun, right? But still, layoffs aside, Tencent aside, flop and impending doom aside, Highguard would continue to patch and update the game, releasing multiple updates, one on February 19th, as well as one on February 26th, releasing new game modes, new weapon balance patches. And while that was admirable, by February 26th, the game was down to 611 players on Steam. In exactly 1 month since release, the game had gone from 100,000 players to 611 players. The majority had left, and no one was coming back. At this point, the writing was on the wall. It was clear as day. This studio, this game, they weren't going to last. And so on March 3rd, 2026, the official Highguard account would post an article saying, "Highguard's final update arriving soon. Thank you for playing us." In which they would say, more specifically, "Today we're sharing difficult news. We have made the decision to permanently shut down Highguard on March 12th. Since launch, more than 2 million players stepped into Highguard's world. We shared feedback, created content, and many believed in what we were building. For that, we are deeply grateful." They would then go on to say, "The team is excited to release one final game update to enjoy in the remaining life of the game. We'll be adding a new warden, a new weapon, account level progression, and skill trees. Full patch notes are coming, and we're targeting tonight or tomorrow morning for patch release. From all of us at Wildlight, thank you for playing, for supporting us, and for being part of Highguard's story." This article would have over 8 million views. 4,100 replies. And while some were disappointed or shocked that this had happened, many were expecting it, maybe even gloating about it. From the get-go, this game was nothing more than a self-fulfilling prophecy of being Concord 2, and they had just shut down in under 2 months. But how did this even happen? How do you get the backing of Jeff Keighley? How do you get the most prestigious slot in the Game Awards show with over 1 million viewers? How do you get financial backing from one of, if not the biggest gaming company in the world? How do you get very talented developers that worked on nothing but blockbuster games and still managed to fail so miserably? Well, now we know, and it's even messier than we could have ever imagined. Respawn Entertainment is a studio owned by EA. Their first breakout hit was Titanfall, releasing in 2014 and garnering many positive reviews. I personally loved playing it when it came out. It was really, really cool and innovative. Some years would pass by, and they would then release Titanfall 2. This game was not only well received for its multiplayer aspect, but it had something the first game didn't, a single-player campaign. And that was absolutely loved by so many. And even though people were expecting them to maybe work on Titanfall 3, 2023, they ended up doing something very unexpected, shadow dropping a game in 2019 with zero marketing, zero announcement, just saying, hey, it's out, called Apex Legends, a battle royale game that garnered a lot of success. The late co-founder of Respawn Entertainment would tweet out, "I'm so overwhelmed right now. Play Apex broke 1 million unique players in under 8 hours. And after the first day would pass by, it would have reached 2.5 million players. This is a game that had zero marketing. To many, this is how a game should launch from now on. All games should launch like this. Like, yo, we just dropped this game, play it. No announcements months prior or years prior. This was genius, and it was free. So it's no surprise that in just a few years, by 2024, this game would have made over $3.4 billion. And again, I really have to emphasize this game had no marketing. Grand Theft Auto 5 had spent $100 million on marketing alone. So of course, everyone in the gaming industry wanted to know, how did you guys do this? How did this surprise launch even come to be? When did you even start working on this game? And this is what one of the developers would say. The way we work is by finding the fun. We don't have a game director who sits down and writes up a 500-page Bible. We're like a really poorly trained dog on a walk. We just kind of sniff around, let's follow our nose wherever we go, whatever's fun, we'll go a bit deeper, rub our nose in it, roll around in that a little bit. So this had happened in mid-2017 after the post-launch support for Titanfall 2 would end. They didn't really know what to do, and they just started messing with prototypes. Some of the developers at the time were interested in making a battle royale game. They would put together some prototypes, and very quickly it became very fun, and the rest is history. And so by the time Apex Legends had made billions of dollars, some people at Respawn felt, you know what, we could do this again, but this time on our own terms, and would leave to create Wildlight Entertainment. In fact, here was their exact reasoning from a Bloomberg article. Back in January 2026, Dusty Welch, the co-founder and CEO of Wildlight Entertainment, would tell Bloomberg, yeah, we left Respawn because things were getting a bit too locked up. There was no more freedom. We couldn't just do whatever we wanted like we used to. However, in this article from the end of February 2026, we'd see another reason. One could say the main reason. It would say, in 2019, they had released Apex Legends, a battle royale shooter in which dozens of players fight across a giant map. The game proved to be a massive success, generating more than $3 billion in revenue. Yet as sales piled up, some of the creatives who'd worked on it felt unhappy that they weren't benefiting enough from the resulting windfall. According to people familiar with what happened, who asked not to be identified discussing non-public information, the Wildlight founders decided to do things differently. One of their plans was to set up a profit-sharing program so that if the studio did deliver another big success, everyone would benefit. An enticing setup that ultimately helped Welch and his co-founders attract many of their former Respawn colleagues to the new company. Armed with a significant amount of funding from Tencent Holdings Ltd, Wildlight began hiring employees and making plans for its first game. The founders knew they wanted to make another multiplayer shooter, but they hoped to avoid the crowded battle royale market. So instead, they looked to Rust, a survival game in which players can raid enemy bases and build their own. They began constructing levels and designing mechanics for what was envisioned as a survival-focused shooter. 2 years into development, the team realized that the design wasn't working, in part because the amount of freedom conflicted with their goals for highly competitive play, according to people familiar with the events. Also, the scope was too big. Still, some parts were salvageable. The base rating aspect of the survival game in particular seemed worth keeping. In January 2024, the team pivoted to what would become High Guard, a raid shooter that streamlined many of the survival aspects into a faster, more competitive. So this is kind of starting to make more sense, right? The idea of why the game felt like you were playing this Frankenstein creation of multiple aspects mashed up together. Look, the dog sniffing phase that Respawn Entertainment used is very important. Let's not forget that Call of Duty Zombies was made by just a few people messing around in the office. But you also need a proper scope. You can't just do whatever you want, however you want, with unlimited money. They had also failed to understand what made Rust special. Base rating was intense because of what was at stake. You couldn't rush it down to under an hour. The same feelings wouldn't be there. It would just be tedious. They had essentially made a game with no demographic. If you wanted base building, you'd play Rust. If you wanted Battle Royale, you'd play Apex Legends. One really interesting thing the Bloomberg article would also mention was, when asked what they thought went wrong, several former Wildlight developers used the word hubris, a belief by the company's leadership that they could emulate what had worked in the past with Apex Legends. No matter how much the gaming landscape had changed since then, after all, they'd made one of the last decade's biggest hits. This hubris stemmed from the fact they were so confident this game was good, they were going to shadow drop it again, just like Apex Legends, knowing that the game could hold up for itself. However, after Jeff Keighley had played during their playtest, he approached the development team, he approached the co-founder, who was his friend, and told them, hey, I love the game, I want to highlight it during the Game Awards, since you guys are an independent studio. The co-founder would say he came into the studio and played the game I think twice, and he said, guys, can I propose to you? I want to do something that's unique. I want to put it in this spot and kind of do something different and bring this to the world. Welch would say, and that wasn't our plan, but like, are we going to turn down the exposure? We would turn that down. And then you'd have Chad Grenier chime in too, ex-creative director of Apex Legends and the head of the studio of Wildlight, saying, so we rushed a trailer together. I wish the reception had been better, but in hindsight we made a trailer to entertain really quickly and didn't show the gameplay loop and was different and unique. They would then take the exact same approach as Apex Legends. No real marketing until release, and then a massive social media campaign with influencers, streamers, content creators, you name it. Problem is though, during the silence and during the time in which people were calling this game Concord 2.0, the morale of the team was hit pretty badly. They couldn't say anything and they were watching people pretty much tear into something they worked on for 3 years. Barely a month after the game had come out, the layoffs would begin. It would be held online on a Zoom call since the studio worked remotely, and they'd pretty much announce, yeah, the funding was entirely pulled from the studio. The 100-person team had over 80% of it laid off that same day. By the time Eurogamer's report on February 27, 2026 would come out, there were less than 20 people still working at the studio, doing their best to release updates before the eventual shutdown on March 12th. On March 3rd, Highguard would announce to the world that it was shutting down on March 12th, and shortly after that, you would start seeing way more posts posted on LinkedIn from previous workers at Wildlight talking about the fact that this game was shutting down and how, well, they were looking for a job. Saying things like, we swung for the fences in a saturated market and made something genuinely new that we loved to play. Even the studio head, Chad Grenier, would make a post starting it off with, Highguard didn't need to become the next Apex-sized hit to succeed. We weren't chasing that scale. What we needed was a smaller but stable and sustainable player base, and ultimately we weren't able to find it. That's interesting because I would argue a smaller but stable and sustainable.
Да, алло. Да. Нет, не занят. Дома. Как? Да, у меня последний рабочий день был... сейчас я уволился. Нахер. Отпуск у меня 2 недели. У меня 2 недели. Нет, буквально отпуск. Отпуск.
Окей. Как насчет...
Okay, so this is a big fucking struggle, and I'm just gonna go. I have places to be.
I'm really sorry.
Alright, that's going to be